I guess that would be all. We can start, right? Tarun, we can start, right? If you,
Hi Prakash,
Hi, Satyan.
how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good because I'm a totally beginner. Okay, just I'm trying to learn Terraform or move to IT department. Currently, I'm working as MI executive. So my question is, can I get this recording?
Yeah. This meeting will be recorded and
Uploaded on YouTube.
it will be available on YouTube.
We can get this.
Yes, definitely.
How how
Um,
we can get this?
it will be available on YouTube, so we will share the details with you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I guess we can start. So we could not take intro of all, so we will start again.
Hello,
Right. Yeah. Hello.
hello,
Hello.
hello Prakash. Can I go?
Good morning, sir.
Yes. Hi. You're audible.
Yeah. Good morning, Prakash. My name is Harteja. Currently,
Yeah.
I'm
Hi.
doing my AWS. I'm preparing for my AWS certification. I don't know anything about Terraform and all, so I'm
Okay.
expecting that.
Sure. Definitely.
And
We'll
for
try
the
to. Yeah.
people who are in group, uh, if you have any opportunities in your organizations or in anywhere, please let me know. I'll share my CV and all.
We have in Opstree, Sunkari. You can share here. hr@opstree.com.
HR at the rate of.
Opstree.com.
Yes, sure. Thanks.
Right. Thanks all. So, good morning, first of all, and my name is Prakash Jha. I'm working as a senior DevOps specialist in OpsP. My core skills would include AWS, Terraform, Docker, and Python. And I'm also an open source contributor, a tech blogger, and a trainer. And with me, I have Shweta. Uh, Hi, Shweta. Can you turn on the cam, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi. Good morning, all. My name is Shweta Tyagi. I have a total 6 year experience in DevOps, and I am work as a senior DevOps in Opstree, having a knowledge about AWS, Azure, Terraform, Jenkins, um, Git as well. And I have actively contribute the Terraform modules in Terraform open source Terraform registry, and I am a blogger. So let's start today's session. I'm sharing my screen. So is it visible?
Yes, Shweta.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So in this session, we will talk about the Terraform, like what is Terraform, why Terraform is more popular than other tools, and we will talk about the Terraform variables and what is the best practice to pass the variable from a different ways. And next we will discuss Terraform state file and backend. And lastly, we will talk about the Terraform workspaces. And yes, we have a live demo to understand all this topic by Prakash. So, value must hear about this code because its codes apply to our day-to-day life as well. For example, if we start doing any task, like if we explore a new tool, then we start with basic architecture, means how it is work, why it is required, and then exploring step by step. On the same note, we will talk about the what Terraform and when it came and why it is needed. So HashiCorp is the parent company that has introduced Terraform along with few other tools. Some of them are Vault, Waypoint, Console. Now we talk about Terraform. Yes.
Priya, are you saying something? Okay. Shweta, you can continue.
Yeah, okay. So and now we talk about the Terraform, and Terraform is an open source tool and was released by HashiCorp on July 2014. And it is an infrastructure as a code tool. So here is a little mean to it. So before Terraform, admins used to work like this. Admins create the servers and environment manually, which took more time and human efforts. And it is very difficult to maintain all the environment if we are creating the environment manually. So then Terraform came, and Terraform is developed in Golang, and it is a open source. So we use HashiCorp configuration language to develop Terraform configuration file to build the resources, and it has quite good community support, like Gitter for asking the question, and also has a good documentation. So in a simple words, we can say that Terraform is an infrastructure provisioning tool where we can store our cloud infra setup as a code and can apply this code to create an infra on a cloud at any time and save our time. And of course, decrease the human efforts to create the infra.
Okay. Shweta, Prakash, I haven't heard about this HCL language. It is something specific to Terraform only, or it is used somewhere else also, where we can do practice on those things? HCL.
Pankaj, it is actually developed by HashiCorp. So all the tools of HashiCorp use this language, be it Vault or be it Terraform for that matter. So they have developed this in-house language, HCL, HashiCorp language, HashiCorp configuration language.
Yes.
It is more like JSON, but advanced feature they have in this HCL.
Okay, so it is specific to Hashi only.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks, Prakash. Thanks, Shweta.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So
I have one question regarding like you are saying infrastructure provisioning. So is it only more suitable this for only cloud, but not on-premise? Because we have so many other configuration management tools. Even we can do the infrastructure provisioning, but how Terraform is more suitable only to cloud or even on-premise, and then any VMware or hypervisor kind of provisioning also can be doing.
Yeah, Venkat, surely, and we will come to that as in we have that in the future slides. But yes, to answer your question, yeah, we can provision infrastructure in around 1,000 of providers, and what is provided, we'll come back to
And
that.
I think apart from cloud, I have seen few people using it for Kubernetes and Docker and those things also.
Yes.
Right?
yes.
Regarding creating namespace and those things. I have a little bit of experience in Kubernetes. I've seen there people using that.
In VMware as well. So
Okay.
it is there.
Let's keep the question the last, because we should not interrupt Sweta's flow.
Okay.
Oh, thanks.
No issue. Yeah, thank you. So let's take an example. So we all working in an organization and have a task to create a one environment, and one environment, one front end, one backend, and one DB. So then it will be very easy to create a one environment because this is a one-time setup. And what happened if we needed to create the multiple similar environment like deb, qa, and prod again and again? Because we have a because every application goes through a different environment like deb, qa before it's deployed into the production for a testing purpose. Okay, so and it is always best practice to have a similar environment for a consistency purpose, because it is so easy to replicate the bug and fix them easily. So but with so Terraform, with the Terraform, it's make easy to create three environment and one front end, one backend, one DB, and 100 stable servers to perform the day-to-day activity. And we have also write the infra code, once apply the same code for all infra and save the time and efforts. Even we do not need to take attention whether all the environment is made or made similar or not. So because we write the our infrastructure in a code file. So we have already discussed what is Terraform and how it is work, and how to means we write the code in our code file to create the infrastructure. So now let's talk about the issue we will face without the Terraform while creating the infra if we are using the script or any other tool like AWS CLI, Azure CLI, and what are the issue we will face while creating the infrastructure? Can anyone tell? So without Terraform, what issue we are facing while creating the infrastructure?
One that I have faced while using the AWS CLI and maintaining it with the script is that it doesn't maintain the idempotency. Means if I run my code again, it
Mhm.
try to create the same resources again and again, and it conflicts sometimes. Sometimes it's create two resources, duplicacy, and those things. So
Hmm.
that's one thing that I have faced without Terraform working flawlessly.
Yes, this is good one. This is a issue actually. So anyone?
Another thing is with it like AWS CLI and the cloud and other utility doesn't maintain the state of the infrastructure. So Terraform, I think, help us to maintain the infrastructure state, whatever we have in the state configuration.
Okay, so let's start. So first issue we can
So I
face.
believe, I'm sorry for the interruption, but other tools also works fine. The only problem I could say is like Terraform provides versioning in a sense that it contains a state of your deployment process. So if you want to track something back, right, what has been done, so that is I could see that is a very powerful feature. If
Mhm.
someone has done some deployment change in the pipeline, and if that breaks out, then at least you can pinpoint and yeah, you can trigger that at what point you got your failure of your pipeline or deployment of your infrastructure. That is the most relevant thing I found with the Terraform.
Hmm. Okay, so anyone have any issues which you are facing while creating the infra without the Terraform using the any script or a CLI? Okay, so let's start. So first issue we can face is state. State of resource is very important because it maintains the idempotency of the resource. As one of say, let's take an example why resource state is important. So if we are using a script to create the infra, it is repeated execution always leads to the same result, whether it is the first time or a 13 run. Okay, so this approach seems logical, but it is not. Why? So let's consider a shell script that creates a configuration file and directories. When it run I run this script, and when it run a second time, it fail because a specific file exists already. So this is a issue. And other issue we will face. Second time the script will run appending the same line of code to the config file. So this is just an example of creating the configuration file and directories. On the same note, if we are creating the infra using a script or CLI, we cannot maintain the state of resources. And state of resources is very important thing. Consistency. So let's take another example to understand the consistency issue. So if we have a multiple team to create an environment, like we have a different team for a dev and QA environment creation, and similarly for prod, we have a different team. Both team use a different system to build the infra. So there is a possibility that different version of the CLI and packages are being used by the team on their system. Okay, so and maybe a chances of a different OS machine like Linux, Windows, Mac, etc. are using by the team. So due to this facing issue in the environment consistency. So if we are not using a Terraform, tracking, we cannot track the resources. Like we working in a big organization, so we got a task in which we need to create a 60 different resources, and this task distributed among the 6 different teams. Again, if we are using a script and CLI to accomplish this task, so how would you track all the resources? It means who is creating, what resources are created by which team, who made the changes in the resource. So tracking is very queues task. Manageability. So okay, so when we start writing a script to create the infra, and day by day, many more resources are piled up in a single file, and then eventually maintaining the resources through a single file will be very messy, and it is a very difficult to adding and deleting the resources in a code resources code in the that file. So I have a one example for this. So the person who write the script to create the infra has resigned, and a new member comes in a place, but he did not write the script to build the infra, and he has a task to create a new resources using a script. So it will be very difficult for him to read and understand the script, because we all have different skill set to write the script. Reusability. Yes, so we cannot use the same script as we discussed in a state while if we are facing the issue in a state, and so we cannot use the same script to create the environment. Every time we will need to write a complete code of command in a script to create the resources. Why? So let's take a example again. If we use a same script for a other environment, then it is very difficult to handle the number of resources. Like in dev environment, we need 2 servers, 1 public subnet and 2 private subnet. But in a prod, we need 100 servers, 2 public and 4 private subnet. So it is better to make a new script as per our requirement, rather than to add or delete in a existing script. Next, environmental discrepancy. So when we are use a different script to create a multiple environment, then it becomes difficult to keep the same script for each environment due to the configuration changes, and in the case of the possibility of a mistakes. So possibility of mistakes are increases. So in it is not easy to replicate same set of infra in each environment if we are doing it manually. Okay, so as we have discussed many number of problems, but these problems are not enough, because if we are working on a multiple cloud like AWS, Azure, GCP, so some application on a AWS. So I am working in an organization. So in this organization, some application working running on a AWS, some application running on a Azure. So now I have a task to automate the infra for both the clouds. So what shall we do now? So I will start exploring the different tool for both the cloud, like CloudFormation for AWS and Azure Resource Manager for Azure, and working on it to automate the infra or migrate the infra. But the Terraform is our all-in-one multi-cloud solution. Terraform allows you to dynamically provision of infrastructure across multiple clouds. So we do not need to exploring multiple tool for multiple cloud. And so we are saying that Terraform supports multiple cloud. But how? Anyone guess? And anyone tell the answer of this question?
With the help of different providers. I mean, we have different providers for each cloud vendor. If you are using Alibaba Cloud, I mean, you can use their provider. If you are using Azure RM, respectively. That way, we can interact with multiple cloud APIs and we can provision the resources.
Yes. Using a provider, Terraform allow to provision infrastructure across the multiple clouds. Basically, Terraform use plugin based architecture, and provider is a kind of Terraform plugin that allow user to manage cloud APIs, and we can install plugin before infra creation using a Terraform init command. And provider plugin act as a translation layer that allow Terraform to communicate with cloud providers. So Terraform provider are responsible for creating and managing the cloud resources because every resource type is implemented by a provider. So without Terraform provider, Terraform cannot manage any kind of infrastructure. So as we discussed before, all issue without Terraform, now discuss the benefits of Terraform. First, state. Can anybody tell what is how Terraform maintain the state?
Shweta, I have one more question.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's suppose if I'm working right now on AWS,
Mm-hmm.
if I switch to Azure,
Okay.
so like other than changing the provider, do I need to do anything? Because because in AWS, let's suppose there are load balancer, there are subnet groups. In Azure DevOps, maybe it would not be. So in that case, I need to do all the changes, right? I need to change everything, every resources.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a correct statement?
Chetan, hi Chetan. The thing is, uh, we we will understand how Terraform syntax works, and that can be applied to all of the clouds. Okay, so let's say resource block is written in a certain way, or output block requires a value to be given. And so these are the things that we need to know, right? And yeah, definitely resources, as in VNet will be different in Azure. It is VPC in AWS. So those things will differ definitely, but you don't need to learn a different language, right? Cloud formation you'll have to learn first, and in if you go to Azure CLI or ARM templates, right? So those were two different verticals. But if you use Terraform, the the code will be the same, but resources will be different. So you don't need to learn Terraform again for Azure or Terraform again for AWS. So
Yeah, like you said, it's a syntax or whatever the language is same, but it is a cloud API. What that API define and how the resource needs to be provisioned, what should be required. Everything is cloud based or that vendor based. So here we cannot reuse the same. Just we can change the provider name and remaining same. Everything is changed. Right? The entire code is changed.
Yes.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I think it's something like if you learn Python 1, then you can create different applications by using the same coding language.
Absolutely.
Right.
Very right.
Right. I hope Chetan, your question is answered.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think there are two more questions in the chat box.
Yeah.
Prakash.
I was just going for them. So Rajendra has asked, can Terraform provision resource for different providers in same script? Yes, you can do that. You can use multiple providers, but the dependency with cross-provider resource, as in you're saying, you'll create a resource in Azure and pass it to AWS, can be done. But again, we have tools for that. So if you have heard of Aviatrix, let me write it down. If you want to have a connection between Azure and AWS, you can use this Aviatrix provider of Terraform, just in case. But
Yeah, that is a part of Terraform only, right? Aviatrix. It's a
yes,
tool just supporting that.
right. It can be done. Next is what is the difference using Salt or Terraform as both a declarative, while Salt also works on that. Salt, to be honest, we haven't worked on much, but Salt is what we understand is a configuration language, right? Terraform, on the
Yeah,
other
like
hand,
Chef and this one, salt
Yeah,
stack,
it's
salt is the one. Yeah.
software configuration manager more rather than an IAC tool.
yeah, and we are really not sure about the state management if Salt does or not.
No, I just want to add, Prakash, one more thing. So see, there are multiple tools that does different things, right? But the point is that which tool is created for solving a specific problem. So Salt was created for solving software configuration management problem, though you can manage cloud via that, and you can do it via Ansible as well. The point is that those tools are primarily created for software configuration management. Whereas if you look at Terraform, Terraform is primarily created for infrastructure management, and that's why it has all those concepts: state management. Then you can manage multiple clouds, workspaces, all those aspects, right? Let's say you can use Salt, but then you have to do all those. You have to reinvent all those wheels by yourself.
I think there is one more drawback that I know that Salt don't provide an immutable infrastructure. If you have to change anything, you have to create it again. It doesn't provide you the immutability. So that I think there is one
On
big
the other hand,
drawback to this one.
Terraform.
Yeah, in Terraform, you want to change a single thing, you can, but if you're using Salt, I think immutability will be a very big issue. That's why even Salt was a very
Even-
prior and things are voting after that.
I'm assuming that Salt would also be doing idempotency. So ideally,
Uh,
like, if you change
but
something, it will not.
Immutability was not there, as far as I know. That if you change something into the resource, then the whole resource will be created again.
Yeah,
That was a
that's a true idea. That these all the config management tools are not immutable. Those are
Yes.
mutable in that sense, like Ansible, Puppet, Chef, and Salt. That is true indeed. But with the growing popularity, Terraform is a all different story that we understand, because this is basically for the infrastructure deployment and configurations.
So
That is
just
true.
for the answer, Sandeep, yeah, they are idempotent. If you are answering them, if you are creating something with that, if the same state is maintained and configuration is the same, it will not create it again. Idempotency will be maintained. But if you change something, that changes the idempotency. So at that point of a time, then the resource is mutable, then it will create it again. That one drawback that I have heard about. I haven't worked on Salt, but that's the thing that I have learned over the period of time while going through the Terraform.
Yeah,
That's
so
all.
only I never work on the Terraform because I partially work on the testing only. But what I could feel like, like these tools are also been growing within with the demand of the day. Like Terraform provides like packaging and templating, which is not as good as with these tools, because it does provide, but at the partial level as of now. Terraform,
Right. As Sandeep has rightly mentioned, the primary focus of
Yes.
creating the tool. So Terraform will be based on infrastructure management, and if you want to do configuration management, then we will be using these tools, Salt and
Chef,
Chef. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that depends on how you strategize, but Terraform is more of the modern tool. Yeah, that's what we can say.
Okay. Oh, all right. I hope the questions are answered. I will wait for 10 seconds, and if no one has any other questions, we will move forward.
Sure. One thing, we are in our infrastructure, we are using Terraform plus Chef.
Mhm.
That's like a combination. People generally go with the combination.
Okay.
And
Yeah, in our infra as well, we have the same stack.
Prakash, can you just can we focus on Terraform?
Yeah, sure.
Bring people to the topic.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I guess there are no other questions. Shweta, you can continue. Okay,
Yes.
Thank you.
So state. So using a Terraform, this issue resolved as we discussed before, because Terraform maintain the idempotency of the resource in a state file. In order to create the delete or update the infra, Terraform store the information about the infrastructure in a state file. So by default, resources information is stored locally in a file named terraform.tf state, and it can also be the stored remotely, which we will discuss later in upcoming slide. Consistency. So Terraform behave same as such, same on each machine, and the result of the same for all the machines. So because we are using the SEL language to create the infra, so it's behave the same on every OS. So here is a no issue of consistency tracking. So Terraform resolves this issue. We easily track what resources and what resources have been created and deleted by the team, and who is working on which resources. So we easily track manageability. So last time we've discussed how many efforts it take a new guy to create and delete a resources in a existing infra script. So Terraform resolved this issue because Terraform code is right in a SCL, and the syntax of the code always same. So it will be easy for anyone who came to know the Terraform to make the changes in the code. Reusability. So Terraform provide the module feature in which we can create a module for any resources and call it accordingly for a multiple environment as per our requirement. So in a simple word, we can say that Terraform provides the module which allow us to give away reusable parts which we can configure once and use everywhere. Modules allow us to group of resources together and define input variables, which we use to change needed resources configuration parameter. And define output variable that are that other resources or a module can use. So module are basically like a file and expose input and output variable, which facilitate to reuse the our code. It means Terraform code, and we do not need to anything special to create a module. It's just like our Terraform configuration file, which run independently. Environment discrepancy. With the Terraform, there is no discrepancy in environment. The syntax of the Terraform is the same for every OS, whether the OS is Windows or Linux. It means there is no dependency of a OS. Also, we log the Terraform version in our code. So in any team build the code from any system, so it will get the same result. Okay, so after the discussion of benefit of Terraform, let's see the few basic command of Terraform which we use during the infra creation. So first is Terraform init command. So as seen in this slide, in Terraform initialize the backend and initialize the provider plugin or in our working directory is as per our Terraform configuration file. So Terraform init is a initial command to initialize the backend and plugins in our working directory. So next is Terraform FMT command. So if we do not need to worry about the indentation and syntax as seen in this slide. I have changed the indentation of the resource and syntax of the resource while in this file. So Terraform FMT command rewrite the Terraform configuration files to a canonical format and style. So this issue is we not face any issue like this. What is the style of the resource? What is the syntax of the resource? So Terraform command also provide this feature to fix the issue. Next, Terraform validate command. So is the use to validate the syntax of the Terraform file. Terraform perform a syntax check on all the Terraform file in the directories and we will display an error with the line number if any of the file does not validate as you seen in this slide. So I changed the resource name in this file. Just check run the Terraform validate command. So after that he give the error, and after that I correct the syntax of the resource, and after that I run the Terraform validate command. He gave the success result. So as seen in this slide, is a Terraform validate command. He gave the error in resource. After that I changed my resource name and run Terraform validate command. He gave they gave success result. So this is a validate command of Terraform. Okay, so Terraform plan command is used to create an execution plan without making any changes to the real resource or to the state. So Terraform just execute the plan of what resources we need to create on a cloud and what resources we need to update is in our by the code. Sorry. So Terraform plan to execute the dry run like this, as in this slide. Terraform apply command. So is used to apply the changes required to reach the desired state of the configuration or to predetermined set of action generated by the Terraform plan command. So it means apply scan the current directory for the configuration, and after the interactive confirmation, apply changes accordingly. So I've just give this yes, I need to create this infrastructure. This command is created all the infra on our cloud. So Terraform apply auto approve command. Next command. So in this command, we skip the manual approval of a plan before applying. It is needed to automate the infra creation without making the manual intervention. So it's just to automate all the things to create the infra. Terraform destroy command. So this command is used to destroy the Terraform managed infrastructure. So this is a Terraform destroy command. So it's hardly we used in our uh, organization to destroy the infrastructure. So these are the some basic commands when we are using to create the infrastructure using a Terraform. Okay. So next is variable. So why we need variable in any script or any programming language? So can anybody tell what is variable and why we need to variable in our programming language or any script?
For variable, like for to make the code for reusability, like we can only change the variable values and use them as per the requirement. We don't need to get into the code eventually.
We can also avoid hard coding the values repeatedly. Okay, we can put a variable and every time we can call that particular variable instead of hard coding.
Mm-hmm. Can anyone?
If we have to make any changes in our code, so we don't have to go through the whole code again, and we can change our variables. It will be easy for us, and it will keep sacred our code. Basically, you can say keep our code sacred, and we don't have to make changes in the code for just changing the values.
Okay. So yes, so as we just discussed, and many of us have also mentioned, variable are used as a input to make the code dynamic in nature. So we generally avoid hard coding of values in our code. So now we will. So variable basically is a to make the code is as a dynamic leeway. So is in this snaps I'm just in this snaps that show how to use variable in the Terraform. So this is a EC2 instance where a EC2 instance has to be created from this block. This is a AWS blocks is EC2 instance are created on a AWS cloud, and these arguments is AMI and instance, and we are define the variable of these two arguments as we can see in this snap like this. So we just create a variable is AMI equals to var dot my AMI ID and instance equals to var dot instant type. So we created the variable we variabilize these arguments. So after that, this is a variable block. So it's a typo mistake actually. So this is a wrong variable name. So this is a variable block where we can define the default value of variable. So we define the variable, and this is the type of variable. So where we define the type of variable value can be the string, map, bool, anything, and which we will discuss in a next slide in details. And this is a description where we define the description of variable and important note about the variable. Next is a default. We can define the default value of the variable in this of this value. So let's look at different data type in Terraform, which are generally we are used. So what data type you have used in your script and any programming language, can anyone tell?
I think most common is string.
Other
String, integer, boolean.
integer, boolean.
list
Okay.
of maps, list of strings,
List.
map objects.
Okay. Okay. So similar data type variables present in a Terraform. So we need, and so next first is string, as we say. So string are usually represented by the double quote of sequence of Unicode character like this. Next is number. Number are represented by unquoted sequence of digit is like this. Next is bool. Bool are represented by the unquoted value is true and false. Next is list. List are basically array as represented by a square brackets containing the set of values separated by the commas. Next is map. Map are represented by a pair of curly bracket in and containing the series of key value pair. So is a map value. So next is variable assignment. So
One thing to add, we
yes,
sometimes use any if you are not sure.
what?
Yes, yes, we can mind that. That we will cover in our demo.
Yes,
Yeah,
That
next,
Prakash
that
will
will.
show in demo.
yes. So
Actually, that's not a type. That's a functionality that you can use. That we will cover.
okay. So
So, Shweta, can you go back to the earlier slide?
yes,
So in this map one, we need to define the key value here itself, or like based on the environment, it can be changed.
That depends. Like
yes, depends on
it
our
can be
requirement.
changed, but yeah, but again, you can make use of functions and everything. So that again depends.
Yeah, but like based on the environment, it can be changed, right? These values, or like it need to be hard coded here.
No, no, that will come like in the demo we
Okay.
have.
Yes,
Yeah.
we,
Sure.
Prakash will show how all the values are work.
Yeah. I think let's wait for the demo. In demo, most of our doubts will be covered while we'll be doing the hands-on.
Yes. So variable assignment using a Terraform, we define a multiple way of variables. Is one of is using a default. We can define the default value of variable by using the variable block as we discussed before. And second is using a file. We can put all the variable value in a file and pass this file while running the Terraform plan and apply command with the with the hyphen file flag and file name. Next is using a command line. We can pass the variable during the infra creation by Terraform plan and Terraform apply command by using the hyphen var value equals to value of variable. Next is environment. Is we can define the environment variable as like other scripting and programming language with the prefix of tf underscore var underscore variable name. So Terraform automatically capture the value of environment variable if we define the environment variable in our system. So this is a variable. And okay, so this is a demo time. Prakash will show you the demo of variable precedence for the Terraform. Prakash, it's your turn to share your screen and
Thanks, Shweta. Okay, all right. I'll share my screen. Before that, we will wait for some questions if there are any. And,
yes.
And we'll move forward with the demo. Till now, if you guys have any questions, we can stop for that. And Shweta, you can stop the sharing.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Are there any questions? If no, you can mention no in the chat. So. Or silence is the best answer. So
no, Prakash.
Okay. Thank you. All right, I'll share my screen. Give me one more. Yeah, is it visible?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. So here is the code. What this code will do, it will create a VPC, right? It will create some subnets, and in those subnets, it will create the instances. So we won't go further into the code. We'll understand how variable precedence works. Yeah. And if there are any questions for like the for each or two set, we can cover it in the last. Okay. All right. So variable, uh, like when we define a variable, what we do, we create it like this. Variable block will be there, and this name you can mention anything. It can be ABC, it can be XYZ, Prakash or Shweta. It can be anything. Okay. But remember, whenever you mention this this name, you have to use the same name in the resource block wherever you want to place the value. Okay. For example, what I have done, I have created this VPC CID block so that it gets passed on to the CID block for VPC. Okay. And similarly, we have other variables here: VPC tags, subnet CID block, instance type, and so on. Like Shweta has already mentioned, there are few things that needs to be mentioned in the variable block. So one is type. Okay. But again, these are not necessary. You can choose not to include any of this in the variable, but best practice again. So you can use it just for the sake of others. Let's say you're in a team and you have created a variable, but no one knows what type it belongs to, right? So they will have to anticipate that, okay, VPC tags as in tags, I'll have to use map. Okay. So just to avoid that, what we do, we use type here. Okay. And we will be using description. And why am I using default? We'll get to that. But yeah, these things are important. Okay. Three things that are important are type, description, and default if required. Right. Now, if you see list values, okay. So like Shweta has already mentioned, it will be a square brackets. It more or less, it seems like a array, right? So in array, you can mention string, you can mention map. For this scenario, we have a string of a list of strings. Okay? And map is like this. So key value pair. Now what we have done, we have created multiple variables, and just to show the precedence, how precedence works in variable, we will be showing you the getting variable from tag. Okay, so currently it is default. We will see how it goes. All right, we'll start again. So if I run Terraform plan, first of all, first command is Terraform init. What init does, it downloads the plugins, like we have already discussed in the previous slides. It downloads the plugins. Okay, if you see, this is the structure. So .terraform providers, it goes to registry and so on. If it is Azure, here you'll be seeing a break. Okay, HashiCorp, then Azure, then Google, and so on. And in there you'll find this Terraform provider, and this is how Terraform on your local connects to the AWS console. Okay, just via this, like Shweta has told, it is a plugin based architecture, right? And this is a plugin that Terraform downloads when you do init. We'll see that we do Terraform init. We find it initializes the backend. Okay, it initializes the provider plugins. Okay, it downloads the provider plugins. If it is already there, it won't download. Yeah, that is for sure. And there's one more thing that it does is it initializes modules. So these are the three things that Terraform init will do. Okay, and you don't need to really press Terraform init every time you run a code. This is just required for the first time. Whenever any configuration changes happen, by configuration changes, it doesn't mean that if you add a variable or resource block. So if you do that, then Terraform init is not required every time. But yeah, for the first time it is needed. Okay, I have already done this before the demo. So yeah, that's it. And if we do Terraform plan, we won't be creating any blocks, any resources currently. We will just show how the plan works to understand the variable precedence. Coming back to variables, if you see, I have commented this out. Okay, that means this variable in particular doesn't get any value. Okay, it doesn't have any default value. So it will ask, like in Python or Bash, you mentioned read, right? So that reading is done in this way. Okay, in Terraform. Now, if I mention 10.00/16, that means this particular VPC CLA block variable will get this value and it will pass it on to the AWS VPC block via this annotation. Okay. Now, if I press enter, the rest of the variables, if you see, they're having the default values. Okay. This one is having, and so on. And that is why Terraform has asked me only once, what is the variable that you would like to provide? Okay, that is the first thing, that first type of variable passing, okay, input passing to variables would be, that is from CLI. Okay, next, that I don't need to do, it is already done. So it takes from the default value. Okay, if nothing is mentioned, then it will ask you from the CLI. But if default is mentioned, it won't ask. Okay, so these are the two ways in which we pass variables. We'll go on with the others. Okay, now we have this terraform.tfvars file as well. Okay, so terraform.tfvars is the default of tfvars files. Now, what is tfvars? Tfvars is the extension that Terraform uses to understand that, okay, my variables are written, my input variables are written in this file. Okay, if it is something ttfvars or tfvvars, it won't understand. So this is the extension that Terraform checks for. Okay, and if it is written Terraform, then it will automatically take. You don't need to pass it anyhow. Okay, now let me uncomment it, and yeah, if we run, is there any question?
Yeah, Prakash, there is a question. Okay, maybe that may sounds weird, but let's, as you told, right, this there is a file terraform.tfvars. Let's suppose someone created another file with other name. Okay, maybe terraform1.tvars. Does that
Yeah,
also?
we'll get to that. We'll get
okay.
to that. Yeah, that is there. So there are, let me give you a spoiler. There are 7 ways in which we can pass inputs to the variables, and this is a this is the second one, default. Okay, before going to tfvars, let me tell you a third way in which we can pass variables is if we use environment variables. Okay, and environment variables, you all know, right, that we need to export the variable, and it will be based on the shell that I'm using. Okay, now what I'll do, I'll just export a variable, and in Terraform, what we need to do is we need to write the variable in using the suffix tf_var. Okay, Terraform will understand, okay, this is my variable, this is what I need to take. But how does it understand which variable to take? In that case, you have to mention this VPC CID block here. Okay, so the total name would be tf_var and underscore VPC CID block. Okay, equals, let's say here it is 10, right? They will mention 11 just to see the overhead, how it overrides, and we'll press enter. Now this, if you see the like it will be present in the environment variables. Press enter. is there, right? So it is present in the environment variables. Now let's do a plan, and we will see the value that we have mentioned is 11.00 in place of 10 for VPC CAD block. And if I press enter, we will see instead of 10 it will come 11. So this is overridden. So environment variable overrides default. Okay, but the other variables, if you see, it is still getting from the default value. Okay, everything getting variable from default. Subnet and VPC are getting the variables from default value, but VPC changes. Okay, so that is the third way. And the fourth way, by mistake, I have already given you the intro. So Tverse is the default file that Terraform looks for. Okay, and in specific, Terraform.tverse is the default file that Terraform looks for. Okay, now this is present. We have default value. We have a exported environment variable as well. Now, if I do apply, okay, let's change it from 11. Okay, let it be. So we will do an apply plan, and we'll see. Now, if you see, it is getting variable from Terraform.tverse. Okay, everything. So this is 11. It is in parallel to export one. But yeah, the matter that we are talking about is Terraform.tverse will override everything else, environment variables, default, and everything. Okay, so this is the fourth way in which we pass values to variables. And like someone has just spoken about, if it is any other file, okay, any other file. Now, other than Terraform.tverse, let's say I have a variable.auto.tverse. Let's say if it is tverse is for Terraform to understand, okay, but Terraform.tverse, if we mention, it will automatically take. But if you want to use some other name, let's say Prakash.tverse, it won't work. But for that, what you need to do is you have to mention auto.tverse. Okay, anything other than Terraform, if you use, you have to mention auto.tverse. So that is the extension that it becomes. Okay.
Prakash, you mean by Terraform, you mean the prefix, right? If you are using any prefix other than Terraform.
Yeah, the file name.
Yeah. Okay.
But again, it can be done. We will be going through that. In case you want to use tverse along with some other name, file name, then auto.tverse is the extension that you should go with.
Okay. So Prakash, I have a small more question. As you said, because if you are declaring the variable name, that should always follow that standard whatever variable.
Yes.
Dot auto dot tverse. That's nice. But in a sense, if someone has mistakenly, have the variable declared in that file, or maybe the value declared both the files in Terraform.tverse as well as in the variable.auto.tverse.
Yeah,
which
I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that here. That's what we are discussing now. Yeah.
I think it's about priorities that you are discussing,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Okay.
So, like you have already told, this variable.auto.tverse, it is the it will override everything else again. Now, the fashion that I am moving into is the increasing order, okay, ascending order of variable passing, okay, input passing to variables. So the last one that I will talk about, this is the fifth one currently. The last one that I will be talk about will be the sort of God, right? God of the variable precedences. Okay, no one is above that. Okay, and all right, let's focus on this now. Variable auto.tverse, this is the fifth way. This will override tverse environment variables default. Okay, let's see it into action. Now I have applied, I have planned, and if you see, getting variable from variable.auto.tverse. Okay, and 12.00, everything seems similar, whatever is written in the tverse file. Okay, this has overridden it. I hope that answers the question. Okay.
Yeah, Prakash, thank you. That makes sense.
Sure. Now, fifth one. So this is the fifth one. Now, there are two more ways which we should understand by doing a -h. Now -h is for help. Okay, so it presents to you all the switches that you can use with the commands. If I do -h, we will see multiple things, right? Currently we'll focus on this -var foo equals bar. -var is for passing variable from the command line. Okay, now this will take precedence over all the files that is present. Okay, we will see that. And foo is the so this is a common term used by developers. Foo is the variable name. Okay, and bar will be the input. Okay, let's use it. I'll mention only few things, like maybe VPCC array block. VPCC array block equals, now in this case we will use 192 series so that the IP addresses don't find. We have been using 10 11 bit. Okay, now in this case, in this scenario, what will happen is -var VPCC array block, only this value will change. The others will be taken from the auto.keywords file. Okay, let's see that. Only 192, 168 will change, but the others getting variable from variable auto.keywords, this has been changed. The one that we have mentioned via CMD. And rest of the things, it is 12. 12 is where it is in the keywords file. Okay. Yeah, that is it. That is the passing from command line. Okay. And
CLI will be having the highest priority.
No, not yet. Not yet. We are not there yet.
Okay.
Okay. So we have two more things. Okay. We have this variable file. Okay, in which you can pass it, or if you are a JSON guy, you can use variables.json. In this case, the parenthesis should be mentioned. Okay, and all these values should be in key value formats. Right, this is the variable name, and as we know, JSON, it is the master of quotes and commas, right? So you have to mention them as well. Okay, we will see both of them, variables.json and the variable file as well. And we will also see what happens if I pass -var along with the variable file. Okay, now going back to plan -h. So previously I told we'll be focusing on this. Now we'll focus on both. Okay, -var -file equals file name. So our file name would be first what we'll do, we'll use variable, and then we will do variables.json. Okay, it loads variable values from the given file in addition to the default files. So these are default files, Terraform keywords and auto.keywords. Okay, let's see. So -var -file equals variable is the file name. Okay, now what is there in variable? It is having 12, and the getting variable from is from variable file. Okay, let's see that. See, it is coming 12, but whatever I mentioned in -var, it is 192. So this one overrides it. Okay, it will override, and getting variable from is from variable file, and so on. Okay, in place of this, we can also use JSON, and it will override that as well. Okay? Any value that you pass from the command line, it will override. Okay, and this is 14. Yeah.
Prakash, we are providing two variables from the CLI, right? Var underscore VPC underscore CIDR, and from the variable file as well.
Yes.
So the priority will be of variable file, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So I guess
okay. Mhm.
If we just shift this hyphen var file prior to this hyphen var, so will this also work? I guess
I haven't tried that, but yeah, good question.
maybe that is possible now, because that is why it is taking the priority.
Maybe, but to be honest, I haven't tried that. Don't blame me if that
Okay, no
if
issues.
that works. Yeah, let's see that. Let's see that as well. Okay, this can be a possibility. And let's see. If that happens, then yeah, I have my answer ready. So anything that you pass from variable from command line, it will be overridden. Yeah, yeah, that would be all for variable precedence. So first of all, it checks from the command line. Okay, if anything is being passed from -var or -var file switch. Okay. Next would be from the files. If it is terraform.tavers, it will have the least priority. If we are having something .auto.tavers file name, then that will be the highest priority in files we are talking about. And then environment variable takes precedence over default and so on. Okay, so that is for precedence. And please hold on to the questions. We will see the commands. I guess the PPT was not clearly visible, so we will see the other commands. Currently, what we have learned is Terraform init. Okay, we have seen how it downloads. Okay, let's see.
One more question I have, Prakash. So every time we run this code, right, Terraform apply command. So every time we have to initialize Terraform, or just the one time?
Can you come again? Sorry, I missed that.
So yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so Prakash, question is every time we need to initialize the Terraform init.
No.
Before
If only
to
if there are, see, I'll tell you. Let me do init once again. See, only if you have any changes, if there is any change in the backend, which we will be covering later, if there are any changes in the provider plugins, then you need to do initialization. And there's a third one that is not coming here. It is if you are having any changes in modules. Okay, modules are also there. So that will be there. Okay.
Okay.
So in short, if we I need if we added some new resources in our code, so when we need to initialize the Terraform init command.
Yeah, but
To
if
initialize
you're
the
making if you're making changes in the resource, that is not required. Only these three things Terraform init
yes,
takes
in
care of.
modules, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Okay, we will see other commands like fmp and validate as well. Okay, so for fmp, what we are doing, we are changing everything. See, YAML is a pain, right? It should be in the indentation, else it will shout at you. It is not correct. But with Terraform, you don't need to think about that. Just run. It anyhow will work. Even if I do plan now, it will work. But just to view the code in a proper format, what we can do is we can run fmt command. Fmt is format. Brings it beautifully, right? These are the file which has been changed, and that's fmt for you. If we do validate, it checks if the code is correct or not. Let's say I have, instead of block, I have mentioned an extra k. Terraform validate will throw an error to me that okay, maybe you have mentioned, you need to mention created block. Okay, that is validate. Now there's one more thing in variables. Like let's look into that. We have this resource instance. That instance is in VM. So that will be getting created. What we need to do, let's say I'm the manager and I don't want my teammates to create any other instance type other than t2.micro or t3.micro. Okay, because they're less in cost, right? And for non-prod, why do I need large machines? So what I can do, I can provide a validation. Okay. Now till now we have talked about default, we have talked about description, and we have talked about the type as well. This is the fourth one that we can include. Okay. Again, this is not required. It can be given. Like as you see, for the others I have not mentioned, but for instance type, we have to mention that it should be t2.micro or t3.micro. Okay, and we have provided this little function just to check if the variable instance type is present in this list. Okay. Now, as you can see, planning was working fine, right? Now, if I mention t1.micro, I know that is not there, but if we do a plan, it will show this error to us. Okay, it will say that please use t2.micro or t3.micro because this was checked by the validation rule. Okay, you cannot progress further if you don't mention anything in between this. We show t3.micro as well, just to prove this is not staged. Yeah. Okay, so that is also working, right? Okay, so till now, what we have done, we have seen how variable works, what are the precedences that it will work in. The validation of variables can be done as well. And by the way, this is a new feature. If you're using 12.0.12.13 or below, I believe, I'm just assuming that number. So it won't be valid. Okay, it won't be there. Okay, maybe it is in 0.13 and above. I'm not really sure about that. But previous versions, if you use, you cannot do the validation.
So,
And
Prakash, one question on this validation part. Okay, just a little bit confused. When we are doing validation condition, right? Okay, then it is going for the condition either it is T2 micro or T3 micro, right? In the instance type of AWS.
Yes.
And then default is something you are mentioning a T3.micro. But in that sense, how this condition will be fulfilled? Okay, because it should not be explicit in that sense if you are looking for the T3 micro, because those, I don't know, I mean, the condition, how this be going to be met in that sense, because the type also been different if you look for the instance type in the AWS.
No. So yeah, that we need to take it as in this can be m5.xlarge, right? Just for example, we have given t3.micro.
It can be anything from that list that we are validating. It should be either T2 micro or any T series, like.
Correct.
Right.
So just for validation, we have used.
Now, my point is that that is okay. Because see, we can go through and check in the where instance type which AWS provides. It is xlarge, T3 or C5 or etc. Okay. The point is that when we are making a condition in the validation block, should it be either it should be T2 micro or T3 micro, but then where we are mentioning as an explicit instance to be created, that is T3 micro. So T3 micro should only be in a condition where the instance type
that is just a default part, Karan.
No, okay, but
Karan, that is just a default value to that variable. It's not that always it will be T3.micro. Suppose someone else is using my Terraform code and he is providing by using another JSON file or another to the command line. At that point of time, he will get that validation error erupted that you can only use T3.micro or T2.micro. You can't go for an M5 instance.
These two values we can consider as allowed values. In JSON ARM templates, we use allowed values. Like these are the values allowed. Here we don't have allowed values concept. For that, we are using a condition and we are putting these two lists. These two will be allowed here. Only you can create T2 micro or T3 micro. If you want to bring another variant, another cube or size, you can put it in the list.
And
okay, so that these will be allowed values to create.
And Karan,
no, I do understand what you guys are trying to explain. Okay, but still I'm confused. Okay, if I'm creating an EC2 instance in the AWS and then I'm putting a condition, either it should look in the validation block, either it should be T2 micro, it should fall under T2 micro, T3 micro. But then what is the instance I'm creating? What explicit instance name I'm going to create?
That is just for an example. Suppose we have a budget restriction, M5.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Let's take an example. It's just an example for that. Let's take any organization have a policy that we don't go for an expensive instances, right? We just go for a T3 dot general purpose. You can say these are general purpose instances. We are going to go for the general purpose family, which are cheaper than the other tools. Either we can go for the AMD instance. We're going to go for T3 dot large, right? At that point of a time, we can make this restriction in our code, and we don't want to give the permissions to our developer or someone from the junior DevOps team who is maintaining that code, and we want them just to update the variable file and pass it to our pipeline, or if you're using Azure, to your code pipeline, anything like that, right? But you want to have a validation check. By chance, you haven't taken any expensive instance that will impact our budget or monthly budget, right? It shouldn't cross. So at that point of time, this will do. And again, this is just an example for a validation. It's not something like we are
like we
restricting something
talk,
for the instance.
like let's say if
Right,
you're
Karan?
having non-prod account, okay, and you don't want people to misuse it, you don't want billing in the non-prod account, then we can do then what we can do is we can put a validation check to see if people are not creating any other instance other than the mentioned ones. So
I
just
think that
for
answers
that,
your question, Karan, right?
Yeah, I understand now. Okay, what you say. I mean, because then you want to have a restriction between the instance class. It should not be crossing that limit. Someone is executing that code.
Exactly. It's just an example validation. There can be something else also.
Yeah, I do understand that one, but
Like
because
if it is in Azure, it can be the standard account or premium account.
yeah, I do understand that one. Yeah, because I could not see that explicit in a instance type, but that is a condition somewhere. I do understand now what you mean.
Yeah, it happens most of the time. Take an example which Prakash has just mentioned.
Yeah,
it's a
that's
very
not
common
a problem.
example that in non-prod people go with the general purpose family. It's a cheaper.
That's true indeed. Yeah. I
Yeah.
do understand now. Yeah.
Cool, Karan.
all right. Did we miss any questions? So we'll wait for the for any questions, and if not, we will move forward with the other slides. Anyone else?
I have one more question. Okay, if I'm not killing your time.
No, that's not an issue. Yeah, it is for you guys only.
So if you can go back and just in the code base, because we somewhere we also mentioned that VPC code, right? So
yes.
Because I never use in production this in a Terraform. Basically, I'm not a Terraform user in that sense. Maybe sometime I may speak some maybe nonsense, but
no question is nonsense. Yeah.
Okay. So the problem is that in this main.py file, because we are mentioning this on AWS underscore BPC CIDR block. So this is all been getting called up from the variable file, or we are also mentioning this different template file for this BPC where all the information is there.
Okay. From where we are getting these, right? That's what
Yeah.
you're saying. Okay, let me show you.
Is this in the variable file, or we have the different template for this one?
So, like Shweta has already mentioned, that the documentation is pretty nice. If you go, so this is the documentation of AWS, just for AWS, and here you will get all the resources that needs to be built. And by resources we mean services present on AWS. If we further go down, we will see EC2. Okay, if you want to create EC2, and in that there are multiple things. Okay, if you want to create instance, you have to choose this, right? And the one that we are talking about currently, it falls in the VPC category, right? And in VPC,
maybe I'm not able to explain what I mean is I do understand how AWS and VPC all these things works. Basically, what I'm understanding, what I'm trying to understand is that while you are creating this flow in your CMD line, you are calling those files and just doing a Terraform plan. So where all these like BPC CIDR blocks are variables or CIDR block variables, those are in the variable file you are calling from?
Yes. So yeah, and this we mentioned in the beginning itself. Like you have to first create the variable block, okay, and then if you want to pass this input to the resource, you have to use var dot and then the variable name. Like let's say for subnet tags, what we have done, subnet underscore tags, okay, and it is mentioned in the variable block.
Maybe that I understand. But where these all values are in the variable file, that is my basic question is all these value maybe for your instances, for your VPC, your subnet, your internet gateway, whatever you have. But were we mentioning in the variable file all these values?
Yeah, it should be mentioned in the variable.
Oh, variable.tf. Okay.
Yeah, and by the way, glad that you have asked this question. So what we have done, we have created all these resources, as in any resource block that needs to be created should be present in the main.tf. And by should, I mean we follow this syntax. Okay, we follow this, but you can mention it anywhere. Okay, if it is a TF file, Terraform will understand that. Okay, I'll have to run through this.
Okay.
Right.
So,
And
okay.
yeah, and likewise we have created variables in the variable.tf file. Okay.
I understand now. Okay, so the sequence is basically you have all your variable mentioned like VPC, EC2 instance, whatever. Okay, all these into the variable file, and then in the main block file, Terraform main block file, you are just calling those to execute your plan as a Terraform.
Correct.
Is that the right right?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Prakash,
Hi, Shubham.
yeah, hi. Can you little bit explain the 4 condition which are you using in the main TF file? If
Which one?
both.
Okay, both. All right. Maybe Shubham, we'll keep this for the end of the session.
Okay,
We
no
have
problem.
yeah.
No problem.
So that is currently not part of this session. So if we have time, we'll explain this surely.
Okay.
Else we can have a, if you guys say we can have a session afterwards, maybe in the coming months, we can have that as well. So just to see the other parts, like currently we're focusing on variable, state file, and workspace, and later we can cover functions and
Yeah, actually I'm
report.
quite familiar with all those things, but the condition part I like it to know. But if you have the time, you can explain it. Other than no worries.
Yeah, we will get to that maybe in the end if we have time.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any other question from anyone?
Could you please provide any like link or like material kind of like where to start for a beginner? Like
Yeah, one question. Terraform.io.
okay.
Yeah, that is what you. Their documentation is pretty well, and you will understand. So, and if you're planning for the certification, that is a heaven for you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
right. Yeah.
Let me check that.
Okay. If there are no other questions, we can start. Shweta. I'll stop sharing and over to you.
Yeah. I'm sharing my screen. Is it visible?
Yeah.
Okay. So after the demo of the variable by Prakash, so we will discuss about the state. So we hear the term of state. So what is the mean of by state? So can anyone discuss about the state, resource state?
Sweta, that should be simplistic when you say state. Okay, it is declaring its value itself, right? I mean, that means the state of your resources. Let's suppose the EC2 instance, it is in indeterminate state, maybe in the running or pending state, for an example. Similarly, for your BPC values, the state of your BPC, how this has been right now. So that is all the, I believe, the state you are talking about, right?
Yeah. So similar way as we just discussed, Terraform state is used by Terraform to map the real world resources to our configuration, keep track of metadata, and improve the performance for a large infrastructure. So it means state provide all the detail of regarding EC2 instance. If we create using a Terraform, in the same way we store the content of all the resources created by the Terraform, which can be used later during the modification of resources. So let's take an example. So teams use Terraform as a key part of the infrastructure change management and deployment of pipeline. So Terraform network team works on a networking resource of infrastructure, where application team works on a managing the infrastructure, managing the instances in a given network space. And in the same way, other team works on a provisioning the other resources of infrastructure, which are managed by the same Terraform configuration. So as multiple member of a team work on a provisioning the infrastructure, they all needed to have the same state file. If they use a use of local file, make the Terraform uses hard among the team members, because every user need to have the latest state file of data before running the Terraform configuration. So everyone in a team need to know the current state of infrastructure, so they can create what is not present and modify what is present and what is modified and what is to achieve to desired result, what we need to okay. So that's why the state of resource is important, and Terraform provide the to log the state of resource in our state in a Terraform state file. So this state is stored by default in local file, as we discussed in terraform.tf state, but it can also be stored in remotely, which work better in a team environment. So this issue, as we just discussed in this example, so this issue will resolve after we will use the remote if we use to store the state file in remote. So let's to understand. So Terraform state file, what is basically happen? Uh, let's understand what exactly happen in the backend if we are applying the Terraform apply command. So this command check the resources created in AWS via API, and right after that it check the state file to see if all components are present in the state file that the code we have implemented, and AWS resources exist that the created by the Terraform on cloud. So if Terraform see any changes anywhere, it will perform the action. It will perform the action accordingly, and we will see the same thing in upcoming demo by Prakash in detail. So in the next question is comes in our mind. So is that state file is readable or not? So yes, good news, it is readable. Human easily understand the format of a state file, because state file format is JSON language. It's like this. So it state file contain the detail of resources like resource ID. Resource ID. This is a this block is contain the instance detail. In this block, we can see that is here AMI ID, availability zone, instance ID, instance state, even instance type. We can see all the resource detail maintain the Terraform in a state file. So and what resources are created, and also contain the information about the output in this block, like this. And yeah, so this is a format of small example of a state file. So as we discussed, when Terraform code is applied and Terraform create a state file, and state file, and as we discussed, state file is very important. And if it is important, then its security and management is also important. So what Terraform to do this, to store the to secure the state file and to manage the state file. So for this purpose, Terraform provide the backend which define where Terraform state file is stored. And it means backend is responsible for where we store the state file. Terraform support to storing the state file on multiple places like HashiCorp console, Amazon S3 bucket, local, and many more. by using the remote backend block. So the next question is why we should not use version control for a TF state file and why we use the remote backend for store the Terraform state file. So next, now we will discuss some of the challenges that we may face if we are store the state file on a version control system. It's like Git, Bitbucket, anything. So first, we will forget to pull and push in between the changes we make because human being is a manicure of the mistakes. And we can overcome this problem with the sum of script, but it is still not the best way to implement. And other issue we can face, so if we two team members can run Terraform apply command at the same time and there will be a conflict in that state file, so this is a issue. And next, it is a possibility that it is possible to that the TF state file will contain the password of our infra and some of secure some of keys. It is not a good practice to those info on a Git repo because everyone in the team has access to the repo. So for a good practice, if we create an infra from our local system by using the Terraform and save the state file on our local, then always put the .tf state file in .gitignore file. So again, now it's demo time. Like we just discussed what are the state file and how they store the data and how can we store the state file using a backend blocks. Prakash will show all these things to us by demo. Prakash?
Thanks, Shweta. So I'll share my screen.
Yeah, I'm stopping.
Just give me one moment.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let me know if it is visible.
Yes, it is.
So we are using the same code base as in other than the instance. So instance was just used to show you the validation block. Okay, and more or less it is the same. You will be finding the same files here as well, right? And in this one, what we are doing, we are having the auto.tf words to take the values. Okay, and there was one question in the chat, I believe, for the directory structure. Okay, so let me get to that. See, this variable.tf, it contains the variable blocks. Okay, and the variable blocks as well the resource blocks, output blocks, everything can be in one file. Okay, and still Terraform will understand that. Okay, I'll have to create resources using this variable. Okay, and I'll have to provide this output. Okay, it doesn't care if it is in a main.tf, a.tf, b.tf, it doesn't care, but it can find it by just by seeing the blocks, like the name of the blocks. Okay, and well, let's keep it short. And if I must say, it is a best practice to keep all the resource blocks in main.tf, variable blocks in variable.tf, outputs in output.tf. Okay, and that is how it is. So I guess that answers the question, right? The question was from Karan, I believe, right? Okay, yeah, that is all about the directory structure. Okay, so and this is our
question is from Vipin and Karan. Karan, are you fine with that? Okay, they are good. Yes, Prakash, you can continue.
Okay. So as we talked about state, now state is something that Terraform uses to understand, and this is where the idempotency comes into picture. Okay, so Terraform looks at the state, it understands, okay, these are the resources that have already been worked upon, and if there are any changes in that, I will do them. Okay, I'll make the changes there. And source of truth for Terraform is the state file. Okay, And let's see how it goes. Currently, we have created, we have just seen plan. We will see apply and destroy as well. And let's do init first. Now, the files that are present here, how many files are there? 3, 6, and 8. 8 files are there. So at the end of this session, let's see how many files will get created. So we do init, like we normally do, and apply. For the first time, we're doing apply. Apply is the same as plan, okay, but with an added advantage that you can apply it to the whole infra, okay. Not an advantage really, but yeah, you have the option to choose yes, you want to make changes. Okay, we will go with that. And if you see, there are some files getting here. So one is tf state and tf state lock. We'll see what they are. Okay. So it has created the machines, and it has created the resources. And it is in North California. If you see VPC is created, the tags are getting variable from auto.keywords and the name is VPC. So, and so does the subnet. The tags are here. So now you believe this has been done by Terraform, right? Okay, this is done. Now let's go to let's count the number of files that we have. So this is 3, 3, 9, 6, and 9. So one file is extra here, the tf state file. Okay, if you see, let me once again, and this will show the output, any output that we mentioned in the output block, or in the output block, it will come over here. Okay, you'll be able to see it on the screen, and that is what output blocks are for. This is one of the use cases, and those outputs you'll be able to see in the state file. Okay, you see. So what does the state file contains? Like we have already discussed, that tf state is in JSON format. Again, we can see it by the quotes and the commas, okay, and the curly braces as well. So it contains the outputs, okay, whatever you mention in the outputs, and the resources that are getting created, it will be present in the resource block, okay, here. So yeah, like this is for you to check, and for Terraform to check, okay. But recommendation from our end is don't do changes in the state file, okay. That will like Terraform won't be happy with that, right? Let Terraform do the changes and maintain it. We should not make any changes, yeah, unless it is a critical situation, okay. So we should not make any changes. Now if you see all the resources like AWS VPC that we have created, subnets, okay, subnet 1 and subnet 0, like all these things are created here. You'll be able to see. Now, what are these details? Okay, let's go to the Terraform documentation. Now the ones that you are seeing here, right, this left hand side, these are called arguments, okay. And once the resource is created, what we get are called the attributes, okay. So CIDR block tags, if you see the code, what we have used are CIDR block tags, then VPC ID tags. So these are arguments that Terraform accepts, okay. Arguments mean Terraform will accept values to it, accept inputs to it, okay. And once the resources are created, now let's say VPC is created, what are the things that you'll get right after that? So you'll be getting the ID, you'll be getting the ARN of the VPC or the subnets, right? So these two are just examples. Those are called attributes, okay. So input is arguments, output is attribute. Now if you see argument reference, all these arguments can be used, but these are optional, and we have used the optional ones only currently, not all. And these are the attributes, okay. These all are the attributes. So all these things we will be able to see in the state file. If you see attributes, okay, all these things are present here. Now we'll see the lock of the Terraform.tf state. Okay. Before that,
Hey Prakash, sorry to interrupt. There's one question from my side. So,
yeah.
as you mentioned that this Terraform state file is very important for us. So somehow, let's say if my Terraform state file got deleted, so is there any chance that we can actually recover, or what will happen if I don't have any state file in some case?
Like we have already talked that if the state file is gone, Terraform checks the state file and it makes the changes in the AWS or Azure, whichever provider you're using. Okay.
Okay.
But if you don't have the state file, all the infra will be secure. It won't be deleted. But Terraform will no longer have the capability to make changes. Okay. But yes, there is a tough way, and there's an easy way and there's a tough way. Easy way is don't use Terraform after that. Okay. And tough way would be using import command. Okay. But we won't be discussing that today, unfortunately, due to lack of time. So import command is one thing that you can have a look at. It will import all the resources from AWS console into Terraform, so that Terraform will be able to manage it.
Sure.
Hope
Thanks.
that answers. Okay. So we have seen 9 files are present here, right? Now what we will do, we will destroy the infra and we will see the auto approve as well. This was in one of the slides, right? So we will do auto approve again, like I have mentioned earlier. Don't do this without manager's approval, or don't do it at all. Okay. Now this is a TF state, blank, nothing is present because all the infra is deleted. Okay. Let's have a look at the subnets. Gone, nothing is present, right? So again, let's count 3, 6, and 4. So 10 files are present here, right? If you see, a backup file is also created. Now, some of us have already discussed previously that Terraform does the tracking. Okay, what were the resources previously and everything. So you will understand that, okay, this is a subnet ID. These were the things that were present previously, but now it is not. So clearly someone has made changes, and that is why it is present in the backup file. Now, what happens in the backup file? It is that if we make any changes, okay, this if we make any changes in the current infra, okay, that will be present, that will be written to TF state, okay, and whatever was there in TF state previously, that will be copied back to backup file. Okay. Now that means TF state dot backup, it takes the n-1 infra. Okay. But again, this won't be of much help other than tracking. So anything that was present over here, let's say ABC was present over here, and you make some changes to that. So you make ABC, DEF, right? ABC will be copied to this, and ABCDEF will be present here. Okay. Now a question to you people. Let's say I'm applying it. Let's say we are applying it. Now what will happen to TF state and what will happen to TF state backup? So one question to you people.
So TF state file will be upgraded with the current versions of the resources. And whatever it is written inside the TF state currently will be moved to the TF state.backup. So it's work according to like n-1, like n will be the present state, and TF state will be dot backup will be having a n-1 state, right?
Right. So this will contain nothing because it was present earlier in the TF state file. Okay, and TF state is again updated with all the details. So I hope this is understandable. So TF state again, like these are interview questions that we are focusing on. Terraform, like people ask all these things in interview, even we do. So yeah, good luck with that. And we have applied the infra. Okay, let's see if we make some changes in the console, what will happen. Okay, now let's make changes to VPC tag. I have removed the variable. Okay, I have removed the variable line, but in Terraform it is not mentioned, right? In Terraform it doesn't see, like we have not made any changes, correct? So what Terraform will understand that, okay, this has been changed, but I need to maintain it as per the commands that I have been given. Okay, as I'll have to maintain it as per the code. Now to maintain it as per the code, what it will do, currently this is there, dot auto dot keywords is present. It will change it to variable dot auto dot keywords because it is mentioned in the keywords file. Okay, how it does, if we see, it refreshes the state. Okay, first of all, it refreshes the state whenever we do, like there are few commands, let me name few of them. Plan, apply, and destroy. Okay, these three commands, what they will do, they will refresh the state. Okay, they will pull all the necessary details. If there are any changes in the AWS console, they will pull all the details to the state file. Okay, they will map the state file with the configuration file, and by configuration file I mean these files. Okay, they will have a look, and then if there is any other if there is difference, it will try to change it. Okay, now
Okay,
it
so
will try to change
Prakash,
it.
I have some need to ask here. So whenever we do the apply command, right? So first with suppose the infra is already created, and after doing some changes in my code, I apply the command, right? So first it will pull all the get all the information about the resources, and it will put them in the into the state file, right?
Yes, it will pull
And,
this.
okay, and after that it will compare that state file with the code.
Yes, we will have a look at that. Let me do that. So we have currently talked about plan, apply, init, validate, all these commands, right? There is one more command, that is refresh. Okay, what refresh will do, what plan, apply, and destroy these do is they do refresh implicitly. Okay, they will refresh the state file, but they won't write to the state file. Okay, they will refresh it, they will hold it in a cache, and then see the differences. Okay, but if I do refresh, what will happen, it will make the changes right away. Let's see, let's have a look. So the thing that we have changed is variable. Okay, now if we do refresh, what will happen, the variable will be removed, like we talked, right? It will pull all the uh, details, whatever is present in the AWS console. Okay, so it has pulled. This happens in the backend, by the way. But if you do refresh, it will change the state file. Now variables is gone. Okay, and now it will check in the TFWords file as well. Here it is mentioned variable. Okay, so clearly we see some differences, and if there are any differences between the uh, given inputs and the state file, it will try to make changes like we have seen here. Okay, this is what happens in the backend if we do apply your plan.
Prakash, I have a question. Sorry to bother you.
No
But
problem.
okay, so there is a clear difference between apply and refresh here. What I have seen so far is that whenever we do refresh, so suppose you have changed the variable name in console, right? See, AWS console. So whenever you do the refresh, it will automatically pull or see all the changes which you have done in AWS and refresh the state file, right? But if you do apply instead of refresh, so what it will do, it will pull all the configuration from AWS into a state file, and then state file will check with the code, and it will do the changes according to the code, right? In the
Yes,
state file. Okay.
yes, correct. But again, it won't make changes to the state unless you apply. Okay.
Okay.
Now if we see, if I remove the variable from here, okay, clearly both the state file and the keywords are on the same page, right? Not literally on the same page, but yeah, they have they are identical. So if I do apply now, it will say no changes to be made. Okay, let's see. Again, it refreshes the state, it fetches all the details. Now Terraform has compared your real infrastructure against your configuration and found no differences. So no changes are needed. Thanks, Terraform. So like this is what I've been talking about, right? Yep, that's it. So that is it for state on the local. Okay, we're not done yet. So and we will come to questions later, right after this. So it will take maximum 10 minutes, right? Okay, Pankaj, if there is any question, we will get back to that right after this.
Yeah, I think that will be better. I think the question is already answered by Shweta. No issue.
Okay, all right, all right. Okay, now we have state, okay, we have resources, but we have in the previous slides already discussed that if it is present on your local, that is not going to help. We are in a team, let's say there are 4 people in a team and everyone is working on their locals, and there are resources that needs to be fetched from person 1 to person 2. Okay, let's say person 1 has created VPC in his local, in his machine, and person 2 wants the VPC ID, right? So that will be tough sharing in local, correct? And that is why we don't use local backend, local state files. Instead, what we do, we pass it to the backend, and that is the topic for today, or maybe for this part. So we have already written 2 ways in which you can pass the backend details. Okay, so we will see both the ways. Terraform uses this backend, and like these are blocks. If it starts with the name and then the braces on, then it is called a block. Okay, and if we see, this is the backend block. So how backend block starts? You have to write Terraform. Okay, braces on, then backend, and which backend you would like to pass. This can be blob storage in Azure. There's one Google storage as well. S3 for AWS. Okay, doesn't mean that if you are using Azure, you cannot keep your backend on S3. Okay, that is not the same. You can do anything you would like to. Okay, and so currently we are focusing on AWS. We will keep S3 as backend, as in on S3 the state file will be stored. Let's see what happens if I do Terraform init. Okay, now do I need to init or not? Let me answer that. Like we have already discussed,
I
Terraform.
don't think so.
Sorry.
I think no.
Right. Let's see. So if we do Terraform apply, okay, and when is init required? That is a question. As we have already discussed, that init, if there are any configuration changes. Now this previously it was on local. The state file was on local, right? But we are making a configuration change. I'll apply, and you will see backend initialization required. Please run Terraform init. Okay, now we will do Terraform init, and any configuration change you have to do it. Okay, again this is asking what will be the bucket name. Okay, what will be the key name, what will be the region. Okay, all these things Terraform asks, but I did Control C. Thing is, we cannot pass variables in the Terraform backend block. Okay, you cannot do that. So either you have to mention it like this, okay, or what you can do, you can mention it. Let me copy that. Or you can mention it in this way from the command line itself. Okay, what this is doing. Terraform init backend config. Okay, this is the thing that you need to provide backend config. Okay, and then like this is for configuration of this backend, the one that we were seeing on the command line, right? What we are doing currently is configuring the backend. Okay, and for that you need bucket. What bucket will it go to? What will be the key? Key as in the folder or the file name. That so by this what we mean is state file will be the folder, and tf workshop.tf state will be the file name which will be present on the S3 bucket. And lastly, backend config. Okay, backend config would be region equals US West 1. Okay, before that, like there's one thing that I forgot to mention. The log file. Log file was not discussed, right? Can someone confirm, please?
Yeah, it was not.
Okay. Okay. So let's make some changes to the this one, and we will do try to apply. Okay. And we don't mention. So we have made some changes and we have applied, okay, but we don't press yes. So if you see tf_state.log has already been created. Now let's simulate this. Let's understand this in a different way. This is user one who is trying to work on who is trying to make some changes, and at the same time, user two, which is a different terminal, that also tries to apply something. Okay. If I do apply from user two, he will get a message that error acquiring the state log because it is unavailable. Why it is unavailable? State file again, it is sacred. There should be made no changes one at a time. Okay, the changes should be one at a time. And if you see, it is already locked by this guy. Unless he does yes or no, the state lock won't be gone. Okay, and that is why even if I do multiple times, he will get the same message. Okay. Who has locked? So Prakash Jha, this guy has locked. Okay, what is the operation that he's doing? Operation type is apply. If I do destroy, destroy will come here. Okay, and path is mentioned. So all these things will be presented to the person who wants to make some changes, right? Now what he can do, he can go to this guy. Why have you locked? Are you working? If not, then let me do that. Okay. So this happens, and this is the state locking. If I do no, and now he will be able to do. Lock is released, he will be able to do, and that is how the lock works. Okay, and again, it is important. So, right, this is one thing that I thought of discussing. Again, an important topic. Now we can happily move to the next part. Next part is backend configuration. Okay. Let me just check. Okay. All right. So we will see. We will make the changes. Okay. Now there are two things again. -, if I do, you can migrate state. Okay. Reconfigure a backend and attempt to migrate any existing state. So what I want to do, I want to copy this file which is present on my local. Okay, and I want to migrate it to state file, migrate it to S3. You cannot do it manually because again, Terraform won't like that. So for that reason, what we need to do, we need to run some commands. We have already configured all these things. And lastly, what we will do, we will put migrate state. Okay, migrate state is a switch so that Terraform understands that all right, whatever has been mentioned in the backend config, I will have to pass it. I'll have to copy the state to that location, and we will do migrate state. And it is done. Initializing the backend, it will say that the backend has been configured to S3, and there you go. Okay. We have to put yes, yes for to copy, and if you put no, a new state will be created, and all the resources that were already there, it won't be. Terraform will forget it. So yeah, we need to copy the file state file. So we have done that. Configured the backend S3. initializing the providers again. And now if we go to S3, so this is a bucket. This was last modified on 24th. Let's see. And it is 5.5 KB. Okay, this is recently copied 1204. If you see terraform.txt state now, it is blank, nothing is there. Okay, and once you configure S3 backend, okay, it will be the backup will be gone. Okay, it won't be managed yet. So yes, it is there, but it won't be managed. Let's say you make some changes, TF state backup won't be updated. Okay, now the question again, this is one interview question that we generally ask: what happens to the backup file in S3, right? And the answer would be S3 it gives you the property of versioning. Okay, you can enable versioning in S3. It's straightforward. So properties and then bucket versioning you can enable. It is disabled for now, and you'll be able to see the state files, previous state files, not just n-1. It can be n-100 as well. It depends on the policies that you have talked. So this is one thing. So we have talked about the bucket, the S3 backend, the backup file as well. Now comes the question of locking. Okay, we did not see anything called locking here, right? And the reason being, locking is not supported by S3. Okay, for that, what you need to do, you need to, and this is just for S3, no other backend. What you need to do, you need to create a DynamoDB table. Okay, and there you have to put the lock. Let's see. So we have already created this Terraform workshop table, and if we go to the items in that, you can ignore all these. Now let's do a apply. We will make some changes. Okay, and we will apply. So you won't be seeing lock here. Okay, instead it will come up over here. You see, this is the Terraform Workspace state file tf workshop.state. Okay, and if someone else tries to do apply, no configuration file. Okay, so if it does Terraform apply, it will show the details of the DynamoDB, that this is locked there, and this is the path where it is, where the TF state is present. Okay, yeah, that would be all, I believe. That's how the state is configured and everything. Okay, let me put a no. Let me change it, and this will also be gone. Okay, as you see, nothing is there. All right, that was a long session on state. So yeah, we will stop for any questions if you have.
One question.
Yeah.
The state file, does it have any relationship with the provider version?
Provided version as in?
Let's say I can lock my provider version to 3. I'll not use the latest one. And will it get referenced in the lock file?
No, not the log file. So there are two different things. You're saying this log.acl, right? And
Yeah.
what we were discussing about is terraform.tfstate.lock. Okay, these two are different files. So version locking can be done in this lock. Okay, if you want to use 4.7.0, you cannot do that unless you remove this file and create a new one. Okay, so
okay.
Yeah, but the state lock is something that you cannot make changes to the state.
I see.
At the time when someone is already working on that.
Okay, got that. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? I believe the session was quite good then.
Yeah, Prakash, if someone removes the FS state file, there is some another option, other than the backup on S3.
No, no. If you remove the state file, it is gone. But again, the resources will be intact. There won't be any destruction of the resources, but Terraform will no longer manage it. That is the thing that happens.
If I made a changes on AWS and I put the same change on the state file, that will
You
not
don't
be.
have to make changes in the state file, Shivam. If you do changes on your remote and then you want to reflect them, you can just use Terraform refresh. That will
Yes.
do for you.
So
Okay.
we don't do.
No, I know we do not make changes in state files.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to do Terraform refresh. It will automatically reflect.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
I think Gaurav
Yeah.
has something to ask.
Hi, Gaurav.
Hi, I have one question. So I'm very new to this DevOps and all Terraform, all the steps we have in DevOps. Currently, I'm into some different domain, networking.
Mm-hmm.
So may I know if there is any platform where I can practice Terraform for different vendors like Cisco or any cloud infrastructure, let's say Azure, or because I can get Cisco things.
Mm-hmm.
Like in my lab or anywhere, but for cloud I'll have to pay and get a subscription, right?
No, like
No, there are free services. You can explore
uh,
them, Gaurav.
even we are like we are showing the demo with VPC and subnets. They are free. So
I've already exhausted my free trials on Azure and I think on
You
then it's
can
AWS.
okay.
create one
If
more
you
account, Gaurav. Doesn't
yeah,
matter.
you can
I
create
know.
like
Create with
Okay.
different ID.
I hope no one from AWS is there. But
Okay.
And I hope
Well,
they don't mind for practicing.
yes.
You can
okay.
tell them you can raise a ticket that I was a practitioner and I was practicing for the resources that I used. You can write
So
the mail and they will waive off.
using my personal ID, I can create ticket and all.
Yes, they will
Yeah,
waive
yeah,
off
you
and
can.
even they provide you with some credits if you are practicing for AWS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Or one suggestion from my experience,
Mm-hmm.
you should always opt out for the AWS workshops that is done from the AWS site. You will
Mm-hmm.
get them as a promotional, and if you attend them, they provide you credits for those services for the sessions
Okay.
that you have attended after every workshop. That's how I accumulate the AWS credits for my use cases. So if you
Okay.
want, you can do that also.
And
Just
we
not
also.
promoting AWS, just an sharing
Mhm.
something that I do usually.
Okay,
Even
that's
if you don't attend the full, just keep it on, and in the end, they share credits to every mail ID who is
if I
attending the
get
session.
a good like they will be obviously giving good level of training, so I will attend it
Yes, along with
workshop.
training and along with the credits for practicing also. You can go in the official website of AWS, you will find that. Or Azure also.
Okay,
I
as well,
have done
I'm
for the two things.
attending the ESI trainings. Luckily, I have got the access to ESI. There's some training from Azure. My company is using Azure infrastructure, so I'm getting credit for them, but
Same
they.
Azure even provides more than yeah, huge credits
Yes,
for the practitioners.
yes,
You can try that.
yes.
Even if you will go for the certification, even
Mm-hmm.
after that, they provide some. So-
Okay, great. Thank you, Pankaj.
Thanks, Gaurav. Mahendra was having some questions. Or any other
I
questions from
actually
you?
forgot my question. Sorry.
Okay. No, you have still time till one.
Okay, let
Yeah,
let
yeah.
me add one more question. As I said, I'm trying to transform my career into cloud and DevOps. So, what should I start with?
Sorry, Gaurav. Can we keep this till the end? As in, we have
Yeah,
one
we will
more
stay
topic.
for the discussion, Gaurav. No issues. After
Yeah.
the session, we can stay for the
We have
discussion.
one more
Please no issues.
topic, and we will
Yeah,
finish it right away, and
fine.
then we can discuss on.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure, sure.
Shweta has already answered my question, but I didn't have much clarity on it.
Mhm.
So if I do a destroy for my infrastructure and then I make a new infrastructure using apply, and as you said, the backup file it becomes empty. So if by any chance if I have to go to the previous version, like my previous infra that I had already deleted, will it be possible for me?
Actually, no, because let's talk about VPC. Okay, you create a VPC, you destroy it. Can you get the same ID? So the answer is no, right? But the backup files that we keep, it is just for tracking. What were the things previously present, right? So you cannot get the same infra, but you can have a look what was present before. So if that answers.
Okay, okay. So like, okay, fine. Yeah, that clears my doubt.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, man.
Prakash. So, can you please throw some light on Terraform import? On what scenario we
Import. Okay,
use?
we will keep that for the end. My so
Okay, sure.
again, that is a different topic, and we will see Workspace currently, how Workspace works, and we can take the questions later on.
Okay.
I hope that is okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. I guess there are no other questions. All right, over to you, Shweta. You can share your
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah, thank you, Prakash. I'm sharing my screen. So is it visible?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have all discussed and seen that what is Terraform and how it is work and how Terraform creates the infra on our cloud. It's like AWS. We have a example. So let's take a scenario uh, and see and let's take a scenario that most of us face in our working culture. So organization typically have a multiple environment for running their application. So there is a dev environment where developers work to develop the new application, a test environment where test the application and test the code, and a production environment or a live environment where the end customer interact with the application. So typically the code and configuration applied to the dev environment and move to the test, and finally to the prod after being tested. So therefore the same should go for an infrastructure. So what are the way of managing the infrastructure in a multiple for a multiple environment using a Terraform? So can anybody tell the steps? What what is the steps to create a infrastructure using a Terraform on the basis of what?
Directory structure.
Okay, directory structure. So just we can create that separate directory for every environment. Okay, anyone other than of directory structure?
We can create a different TF-var files, okay, for each environment, and we can wipe out while applying the Terraform, okay, Terraform apply to distinguish between the environment, and we can use the same code. If we initially keep this in mind, we can write the code in that way.
Okay, yeah, this
Different
should
workspace.
yeah, that's good one, but we will talk about after in upcoming slide. Yeah. Okay, so as we say, just create a separate directory structure for every environment and repeat the configuration of dev, test, and prod environment. Typically, the our directory structure is like a tree look like this. So here is a two environment. One is dev and other one is prod. So here is a directory structure of our environment. So well, this might look like a sensible approach to start with. But what will be the problem we are faced if we are going this approach, and what would be the challenge we will face during this approach we will apply in our to create the infrastructure? So first is code management. The example we took now has a more than two environment like dev, QA, staging, and prod. If our environment code is in a different directory, then updating the changes in all the directory code become quite difficult. Like we need to add one more resource in all the environment, so we have to add the same code in the all the directory. So this is a issue. Next, duplicacy we can face. So we have a maintain a multiple copy of the same configuration file in a different directories. So is a duplicacy. And next is state management. So we have to maintain a state file at a different location on each environment. So these are the issue while we are faced during the infra creation using our separate to create the directory structure of our environment. So let's take an example. So in this picture, so 7 pupils are moving a block, but a first guy remove a lot of material from the block, which he got to transport to one place to another place, and now he is able to transport easily. So on the same note, what can we do about these challenges which we discussed? Okay, so as we know, the only difference, and as already we discussed, the only difference between these environments will be the value of the variables and the state file. So we have basically to create the environment, we have two requirements. So there should be a way to of dynamic specification of separate variable for every environment, and there should be a way to manage the separate state for each environment. So Terraform provide a way to achieve this by using a workspace. So why Terraform workspace and how to resolve our problem which we discussed previously. So workspace have a feature which allow to us manage a single configuration file and provision the resources in a different environment. Okay, and next is do not repeat yourself is a principle of a software development aim at reduce the repetition of our code, and using the workspace we can remove the duplicacy of code and create the environment using the same file of a configuration to pass the separate variable file for every environment. Okay, so managing the remote state file is each of environment require the separate state of file to avoid the collision. So with the use of the workspace, we are able to prepend the workspace's name to path of the state file and ensuring each environment or workspace has its own state file. So let's talk about the architecture of Terraform Workspace as shown in this snap. To use the Terraform Workspace, first we need to create the workspace corresponding to our environment. In this snap, we create the two workspaces. One is staging and one is dev using the Terraform Workspace new command. So I can create these two workspaces and using this command. So and this is a command and this will create a two isolated workspaces in our working directory, and we can move into the respective workspace to using the workspace select command. So we can switch using this command, and we will start our work in our workspaces. So Terraform workspaces is like a Git branching system. It's like that. Similar, maybe we can. This is a similar type of Git branching system. So okay. So let's discuss the working of a Terraform workspaces. As per this step, configuration files are stored inside a single file. It's like single file. Sorry, this is a single directory, and this directory contain the different variable file as per our requirement. So this is a staging variable file, and this is a dev environment variable file. It means how many environment we have to create. So variable files contain the separate variables for every environment. First, we need to create a workspace for an environment, or need to switch a respective environment if we already created. So after that, we create the workspace environment for an environment. Just run the Terraform command to create the infra is Terraform plan and Terraform apply, and it work after that workspace store the state file of each environment separately. So it's just same way without we have to we do not need to contain the duplicate code in our directory. Just create a different variable file and pass the variable environment variable file while creating the infra, and create the infra, and the workspace isolate the staging state stage tf state file in our remote location if we are using on our local also. So next, demo time. Prakash, please share your screen to show how Terraform workspace work with a single Terraform configuration directory.
Sure.
Yeah, and after the demo is overcome, there is a Terraform quiz to find out who has listened to the session or a demo. So
Yeah. So there will be 10 questions, and yeah, you can revise once before that.
yes, I'm just
Okay.
opening my screen.
Thanks, Shweta. So I'll share my screen. All right. I hope the screen is visible.
Yes.
All right. So we have discussed much about workspaces. Let's see it in demo. So we have created this. There are two directories that we have created with workspace and without workspace. How things will look. Okay. So let me show like this. Okay. So without workspace, the code structure will be in this way. Okay. Now this we are talking about identical environments. Dev and stage will be identical, as in there will be one VPC and one instance, maybe one subnet. Okay, so these things will be there, and that will also be present in stage. Okay? That is just an example. Now, if there are identical environments, why do we need to create like this? Okay, so this is an like, to be honest, this is an headache, right? If I need to make changes to dev and stage, which applies to both the environments, again I'll have to change here and then to stage. So yeah, that is tough, right? Second thing that is tough is the backend, as in you have to maintain a different folder. Again, you have to create it and mention the tf state name. So everything will be problematic for identical environments we are talking about. Now, this is one step that we should never take. Okay, without we should not go with multiple directory structure for identical environments. Okay, now Terraform has understood this situation. They have understood that what the issue is, and they have come up with workspaces. What you need to do? Nothing. You need to create one code. Okay, so this code, what it does, let me explain to you quickly. So this code will create VPC. It will provide the tags. Okay, and okay, one more thing. If you are creating a dev environment, okay, let's say you want to create a dev environment, you have to mention it is dev, right? Just to understand, just to see the differences. Okay, that this is dev, this is stage. So you have to mention that as well in the tags. Okay, but Terraform comes up with if you are using workspaces, Terraform comes up with Terraform.workspace back this variable, which helps us to understand. We will see that as well. Now the thing is, this code, what it does, it creates a VPC and it creates public subnet, private subnet based on the number of availability zones that are present in your region. Okay, in our case, we have created the we're taking the region we're taking the region US West 1. Okay, and VPCC IDR is this. So it will cut the subnets based on number of availability zones. Okay, this is what it will do. And we have taken two different CIDRs, one for dev, one for stage. So 11 is for dev, 12 is for stage. Okay, the rest of the thing, it is short and simple, right? All the resources in one block, in one file, output in one file, provided is there. But only thing that changes in our code currently is VPC CIDR. It is different for stage and it is different for dev. So that is what we need to take care. If a new environment comes up, again identical environment comes out. So then you have to create maybe uat.keywords if it is a UAT environment. Okay, but how do we check that? Okay, so that is that was the issue in if we used it without Workspace, and that's how Workspace works. You have to keep the files at one place. Okay, all the files, configuration files, as in which will create the services in AWS, and the values that changes will be in the dev.tfs or stage.tfs. Okay, now before we start, Terraform already works in a workspace. Okay, we will see that how. So the command for that, we have run apply, we have run init. Similar way, we have workspace command as well. Now format is Terraform workspace, and then you have to type in list. List is for to see which workspaces are already present in your environment. Okay. Okay, I did not mention space. I did not. Yeah. Okay. Now, as I told, a default workspace will already be created. Okay, no matter what, wherever you work, Terraform workspace list will give you a workspace default. And by the way, this cannot be deleted. Okay, so everything that you create, it is in the default workspace, cannot be deleted. But yeah, you can create new workspaces and make changes to that. Okay, so we will be creating again dev and stage.tvs. How do we create? Same thing, Terraform workspace. Then you have to present, you have to write new and the workspace name. We will be working on dev and stage. So we will create a dev workspace and a stage workspace. So new, it has switched to the dev workspace, and we will create a new workspace as well. Now, if I do list, we'll see what other workspaces are present. So default dev and stage, and the star denotes the workspace that you are currently in. Okay, let's go to now. If you want to select, let's say dev, you have to use a select command. Okay, Terraform workspace select, and then dev. You will be switched to workspace dev. Let's see a list, and star is behind dev. Okay, so we are in dev environment now. Let's apply. Okay, let's do init first. If we do init, you see another file, another folder called Terraform state.d has been created. Okay, dev and stage will be present. Now give state.d as in it gets created when you use workspaces. Okay, if you go to state file, you don't see in this folder, right? So if you use workspace, multiple like this folder will be created, and it will store based on the folder dev, stage, or prod, UAT. So it will keep on increasing. Okay, and it will manage the state files in these folders. Okay, so we are currently in the dev. Now we will see what happens if we apply. Okay, so Terraform apply again for choosing dev.tvs. What we need to do, -var-file, right? Because like we have already told, Terraform checks for terraform.tvs or auto.tvs. But if it is neither of them, you have to pass it via -var-file switch. Okay, so -var-file dev.tvs and enter. So all the whatever is mentioned in the dev.tvs, it will come up here. Okay, 11.0 is coming up, right? Let's have a look. Yeah, it is there. Now if we do yes, it will create the VPC along with the subnets. Okay.
Prakash, can you just open the .tfs, tab.tfs, and staging.tfs?
Yep.
So Deepak, these are two files.
Okay. All right. So the dev environment is created. Okay. And
So,
if
one
yeah.
question here.
Mhm.
So we are giving a input, right? Which file need to be taken as a input for the TFVARs, dev.tfvars or stage.tfvars. The
Right.
only difference with the workspaces is it will store the state file separately,
Yes,
right?
yes. The isolation of state file
Yeah.
is necessary.
Separate.
Again, like if you maintain different environments, right, it becomes a bit difficult.
Management
So
of state file is automatic,
yes,
not the picking of TFVARs.
right, right. Picking of keywords again. If I do stage here, it will understand that okay, I'll have to use this variable file. So now what it will say that I will destroy because the CIDRs have changed. I'll destroy and I'll recreate.
But you are selected a different workspace, right?
No. The workspace is dev, and what we are trying to focus on is if we use dev workspace,
Okay,
we use yeah.
assume I entered into a dev workspace, but I picked a stage TFVARs.
Right.
That
Then
don't
that
have
will
any
then
intelligence.
it will create the stage environment. In that case, what you need to do, you need to pass it maybe like this will be all these things will be present as part of a pipeline, right? Maybe code deploy or maybe Jenkins. So what you will be doing is you will be presented with a input box. Okay, there you have to mention what workspace you would like to work in. So
Okay,
what it will do, yeah.
Workspaces is more related to maintaining the state file separately.
Correct. And to isolate the environment as well. So like I told previously, if I don't use workspace, I'll have to go to all of these blocks, right? Dev environment, I'll have to mention dev in the tags, okay, stage in the tags. So that also becomes difficult. So if we use Terraform Workspace, again, Terraform.workspace is a variable that you can provide to make those changes. Okay, so code management as well as state management, both are being taken care by Workspace in a good way, in a like totally easy way.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we see the VPC has been created ES West 1, so it is taking the region and it is taking the workspace name. How is it taking? We have already seen. So this is the variable name that you have to pass. Now, if I go to stage, let's go to stage and we will see, we'll create a stage one stage environment as well. Now, if I do apply, okay, stage.pfbox. So it won't say something needs to be deleted and then because again, the state file is different. It will create everything newly. Okay, we do yes, we create. So both can coexist again in the same code base.
Can we create nested workspaces?
Nested workspaces and
Like assume that I'm doing deployments, SAP deployments for multiple customers. Okay.
Okay.
Now I'll create a root level workspace like SAP. Inside that, I will create a dev workspace and production workspace, stage workspace.
No.
Inside that, I'll keep multiple customers. For each customer,
No,
I'll
no,
create.
that is not possible. But yeah, what you can do, you can while creating workspace only, you can mention the name. Let's say customer A, okay, customer one, and SAP one, customer one, SAP two, like that you can create. But no, nested workspace is, as per my knowledge, it is not allowed. It cannot be done. Okay, so hope that answers the question.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we see dev and stage have been created, and in a similar way, the subnets have also been created. Okay, What were the things that we had to mention? A very less amount of thing. Yeah, the code has been written one time. Okay. And we have mentioned the Terraform workspace, Terraform.workspace, which will take the workspace name which you are currently in, and that is it. It will be done. Now, if we see the
Sir, can you show where are you passing those this TFR files or variable files?
okay, it is here in. So we will keep all the TFRs file in the same directory. Okay, based on the name of the workspace. Now dev.tfrs we are passing 11.0. Okay, so
Right.
if we go to VPG, so for dev it is 11, but for stage it is 12. Okay, let's see the stage.tfrs as well. So that's how it is.
I mean, where is that getting this variables in the code file?
Okay, and that we are passing. So the first session, the first demo that we had was of variables, right? And this is one way in which you can pass the variable. So variable stage.tvards we are passing. So if I pass stage.tvards, it will create with the stage.tvards details. And if I pass dev.tvards, it will create using that.
Okay.
Yeah, but this you have to pass from your end.
Okay.
Yeah, this is one way in which we can do. Yeah, but again, there can be multiple ways. So
Here
that's-
here, sir, you are passing that value, right? But where is it
yes.
getting in the code? TF
Oh,
TFVARs.
in the code it will see. We see here. var.vpccIDR we are passing. Okay.
Okay.
Based on the variable that we are passing from the command line, and the rest of the thing, the subnet creation and everything, we have used functions over here, and functions and looping, everything is done. So it will be done in that way. Will be created in that way.
Okay. Okay, sir. Sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir, I just want to ask one question here.
Mhm.
Like we have two separate files, dev.tf4. So we have done this just to like keep the automation part handy as well. I mean, like I was thinking, like if I write a pipeline to deploy in different workspaces, uh, if we don't have different, environment variable files, then it will be confusing to write the script.
Correct. So what we will do, we can have a input parameter that will ask the workspace. Okay, dev. I'll choose dev, and that will be passed on to the pipeline. Now in the pipeline, what else will be there? There will be Terraform workspace select, and then dollar workspace name. Okay, that is a variable. After that, Terraform apply -var dollar workspace name dot tfs. Okay,
Yes, sir.
it can be
Because
done. So
yes, because like right now we are passing it on the command line. I was just thinking like if changing the workspace, Terraform can automatically understand, okay, this file I have to pick up now. But
no, that again you have to pass. You have to pass.
yes, sir, got it.
So it is not by the name. This can be anything, but we have kept this as per the workspace name that we have created.
Yes, sir. It is just for
Yeah.
our convenience, just to have the
Yes.
record, like
Yes.
what we have.
If we are using a pipeline, then yes, you'll have to pass the variable as per that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, got it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So again, this is locally present. If we do it on state on S3, let's see how it goes. Now, before that, Terraform.tf state is here. Okay, and stage for stage also it is different. You will be seeing in the local, if you see, it will be like this: Terraform.tf state.d, and then the environment names, and in that you'll get the tstate file. Okay, that's how it works. Now, what we will do is we will change the backend. Okay. Currently, it was not present. In backend, what are the things you have to mention? Terraform workshop -obsp. This is a bucket name. Key as in what will be the file name. Okay, but how do I define which workspace it will go in? Right. Let's see that. The region and DynamoDB table. So these two things we have already discussed. Now, if we do a Terraform init -migrate -state, okay, everything will be moved to the state file, to the S3. Now, you see, if you're using a workspace, there will be a folder called env that will be created. Okay, in there you'll get dev and stage. Let's see. So we have tested this before, and on 23rd March, yeah, 3 days ago. So that is why you're able to see. But this is having 15.8K of data. Right? Same thing will be in stage. We forgot to delete, I believe. So now if we do yes, this stage was having how much? 156 byte, 23rd March, right? Let's see. So all the state files will be migrated, okay, to S3. So it acquired state log for one of them, dev.tvers maybe, and now acquiring state log for stage.tvers. And it is successfully configured. Let's have a look. Yes, it's there, 1246, and it is done. So again, same thing. If it is local, it will be terraform.workspace.d. In there, the folder names will be present. If it is S3 backend or any backend for that matter, env will be the folder name. In env, you'll get dev, you'll get stage, and so on. Okay. That's how it is. Now what we will do, let's see other commands, and we can wrap it up with the quiz. So Terraform Workspace, new, it creates new workspace. List, it will show you all the workspaces that you are currently in, that you have in your machine. Show will, let me, if I do show, it will show you the current workspace that you are in. Okay. Select, what it will do, it will move you to another workspace. Let's say this we have already talked about, right? Select dev, it will move you to dev. Now delete, if we do delete, if you are on the current, let me go to default first, and then try to delete. Let's see what happens. Well, I haven't done this before, so let's see. Okay, if you want to delete, it is tracking, it has given this message. It is currently tracking the following resource, and if you delete, it will be gone. So if you want to still delete it, you can choose -force, but these resources won't be deleted. It is just that Terraform will, let me read it loud, Terraform will lose track of any associated remote object. Okay, which would then require you to delete them manually outside of Terraform. So before you want to delete the workspace, you have to delete make sure the resources are deleted beforehand, then only go for the delete command. Okay, and that's all. That's all about that's all about the session. So we will wait for questions, and maybe we can start with the quiz if there are no questions. Is there any question from you people? I'm audible, right? Else I would have.
No, Prakash.
No questions?
No questions. Okay.
Okay.
All
I'll
right.
share.
Yeah, you can share. So we will have this quiz, and before that, let me share a feedback form. So
Already shared. Okay.
okay. So yeah, if it would be great if you guys please fill the feedback form right away before dropping and before the quiz. So
Yes.
it will help us a lot.
Might
One
be
question.
okay.
Uh,
Okay.
Just one question that could you please explain briefly that how in the CI/CD pipeline we can manage all these things workspace along with, let's say I have put all these things Terraform files in a Git repository like GitLab or Bitbucket. Then what will be the structure of the pipeline for different environments?
So like I told previously, it will be first thing will be initializing. Okay. Maybe if you want to initialize to a different backend, that can be done, or maybe you can write all those things in the file itself, backend.tf file. Next would be selecting the workspace. Okay, so Terraform workspace select, and then you have to give the variable, which variable you would like to use. Let's say dev is the variable currently, so you'll choose the dollar workspace name. Okay, and then dev will come into picture. Next step would be Terraform apply -var -file equals the dollar workspace name dot tfwords, right? So that's what the we are just talking about in brief what it should be. Again, you can include multiple other things, but currently we will see like these are the few things in it. Then selecting workspace, and third will be applying based on the keywords, based on the workspace name. So yeah, if that helps.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So let's start.
Can you guys please confirm? Sorry, Shweta, to interrupt.
Sorry.
Can you guys please confirm if you have filled the form? Just a yes, or maybe you can tell about it. Uh, okay, thanks. Cheers.
Thanks, Amar and Shreyans.
Yeah. So Shweta, we will wait maybe just for 2 minutes and
Okay.
get it done. Yeah. Meanwhile, you can ask any questions if you people have.
Yes.
Okay. I guess we can start with the quiz. So, all right, and the answers you people can send in the chat.
Prakash, if you have the time, can you explain the conditions you are using for loops and all?
Sure. Right after this, maybe. Yeah, right after the quiz, we can do that. So, is it done for all the feedback form? Thanks, Navid. Thanks, Kirti. I guess we can start, Shweta. So,
Yeah.
thanks, Gaurav. And you people can answer the question, like send the answers here in the chat.
Yes.
Okay, I will have a look, and yep, I will show that. So the first question is, which language does Terraform support from the below list? Okay.
The option is JSON, SQL, YAML, and XML.
So we are getting answers. HCL. Okay, yeah. All right. Yep, that is the correct answer.
Yes.
BACL is the correct answer. Okay. In which language is Terraform developed? So,
Yeah, option is Python, C Sharp, JSON, Golang, or C++.
so just to make it tough, you have to write the whole answer as in D dot Golang. Yeah, that can be done. And there are people who have mentioned Golang. So yeah,
Yeah.
Golang is the correct answer. JSON actually, but then JSON is not the language in which it was developed. So yeah, it uses the format. Terraform TF state uses the format JSON, but the code in which Terraform is developed, it is in Golang,
Golang.
and it is open source, by the way. We have already discussed. So yeah.
Yes. So the next question is,
Choose the odd one out. So which one seems odd amongst them?
yes, the option is,
This is a bit tricky one. People who have used, they will be able to answer.
yes.
We are getting some answers in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
So and almost yep, almost all are correct. So we'll discuss that as well. Terraform init, it initializes the plugins. Okay, as in
Oh.
whichever provided you are using, that it will initialize it. Terraform state, if you type in, it will show you the resources that were created. Okay, whatever is present in the state file, it will present you that. Terraform data is the answer. It is the odd one out. So there's no such thing as Terraform data. Shweta, can you go one back?
Yes.
Yeah. And Terraform show again will show you the all the resources along with all the details that are present in the state. And Terraform console is for debugging. Let's say you have a variable, you want to test some functions, you can do that in Terraform console. So yeah, C is the answer, and almost everyone has got the correct answer.
It's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so which next question is?
Which one of the following is not part of Terraform init? So we have discussed it multiple times.
This
So,
option is downloads the plugins, install the resources, updates the backend, and downloads the modules. So what would be the correct answer?
yeah, the question is which is not part of Terraform init, and the correct answer is it doesn't install resources. Okay, but other things like we have already discussed, it will download the plugins, it
Yes.
updates the backend. In case you change the backend, it will change, it will update it. It downloads modules as well, but resources it won't install. So resources is something it is already taken care by the plugin part. So the correct answer is B.
Okay. So next question is,
Yeah. So you have to write, let's say A, then B, then C, then D. What is the correct precedence? That you have to write. And when I told you have to revise it, yeah, I was serious. So you can mention, okay. C D C B D A. Okay, Faninder, that is incorrect. Okay, A D B C. Getting A D B C. Aman Khan has given that. Yeah. Amar, you have to write the precedence. Which one will be taken first, and so on. So A D B C. Rina is saying ABDC. No. ACBD. No, no. The correct answer is, first of all, any variable that you pass from the command line, that will take precedence. Okay.
Yes.
After that, any input that you're passing in the TF-words file, that will be taken into consideration. Then comes the environment variables, and lastly default. So correct. Thanks, Aman. Yeah, that's the correct answer. ADBC.
Yes. So the next question is,
This
will
is quite easy one. Will refresh command update the state
update
file?
the state file? Option is true or false.
Yep. This is pretty straightforward. Yes, it will update. And the answer is true.
Yes.
Okay.
So next question is, which block is not used in Terraform?
So we are going to the difficult ones. Probably. So C,
The
we are
option
getting
is
answer C.
resource, local, import, and provisional.
Okay, there are. Yeah. So the correct answer is C, as in C is a command in Terraform, but not a block. And by block we mean resource block, variable block, right?
And
So
local
these are
block.
blocks. Yeah. And provisional block again, it is a block. Local is also a block. So odd one out is import. Okay.
So next question is, how many backend configuration needed to be a right for a 3 environments while using the Terraform workspace? The
So
option is 0, 1, 2, and 3.
Naved, when you're writing one, which one is it? A or B?
It's B.
B. Okay. All right. So Aman, sure. We will see if we can share this question. And thanks for the appreciation. And yes, the correct answer is B. Yeah. So if you are having multiple environments as well, you only have to write the backend ones. Okay. Not multiple times because we are using workspace. Okay.
So the next question is, if we deleted the state file, will it impact the resources that already built? The option is
Again,
yes or no. Just yes or no.
this is also done. So it won't affect the resources. Answer is B.
Yes. So last question is,
A
this is
tough and
tricky one actually. Concurrent.
So you have to concatenate two variables in Terraform.
Yes.
There are two variable one and variable two. How will you concatenate?
Guys,
Okay.
please.
Some are saying B, some are most are
B.
saying D. And
D.
so B and D are the options that we are focusing
Okay.
on. If
On the
Terraform,
version
Aman
basis.
has shared a different one. If Terraform version is latest, then option B.
Else if it's
Else, no. Actually, Aman, that is unfortunately incorrect because when we say concatenate, that means we are merging two strings. Okay, provided these are strings. So we are merging two strings. Now, if you don't mention quotes, Terraform won't take it. Okay, because if it is a string, Terraform should know that okay, the quotes should be there. Now, for that reason, you'll have to beat any version. We have to mention $var.var1 hyphen $var.var2 in quotes. So the correct answer is B. But yes, the thing that you were trying to say, it is correct. Previously, dollar and quotes were not in use. Previously, it was in use, but currently it is not. But while concatenating, this will be the format that needs to be done. Yeah, we have, as promised, we are 4 minutes ahead. 4 minutes, like after one, and yep, all right, we are done. So Yep, you can ask questions if there are any. Uh, Thanks, Aman. And we would like to hear your feedback.
Prakash, regarding import, if you can just, that was parked for end of the
Okay,
session.
okay. Import. So, okay, I'll tell about that shortly. But I hope you guys have filled in the feedback form, right? So,
Yeah,
can
Prakash, I have joined a little late, around 12 p.m. So, what was the first topic that you have? What was your first topic?
uh,
Before that, Terraform Workspace.
okay. So prior to that, we had variable precedence and state file.
Okay. I will go over it. Thank you.
And that is available on YouTube, by the way. We will share the link again.
Yes.
So please, guys, if you can fill the feedback form. And coming to Shweta, can you share the feedback form once again?
Yes.
And coming to Mahend's question, so mine actually, I'll I'll tell it in brief. What import does is, let's say there is a resource that is created in Terraform manually or via some other tool, okay, and you want to manage it using Terraform. That we use then we use the Terraform import command. What import does, we will have to write the Terraform import, and we have to mention a block. Okay, so create a block. Unfortunately, like it will again take some time. We will wait for the other questions as well. So what you need to do, you need to create a block. Okay, like we have done for VPC, let's say. So it will be an empty block. Okay, and in the import you have to write something like this. 1 moment. So, Shweta, can you write it down? Terraform. Okay. Now I'm able to do it. Okay. So Terraform import, and then you have to mention AWS VPC.vpc. So this will be the resource, which this will be the block name. Okay. Resource AWS VPC, then VPC, and then empty block, and then you have to mention the ID of VPC and just hit enter. So this VPC with this ID will be imported into the state file. Now, when it comes to you, then you have to mention the related details. Let's say the CIDR block, the tags, those things you have to mention in the block itself, as it will be present in the state file. So after that, you can use Terraform show to show you the VPC, like what happened to the, what are the details of the VPCs. So that will be available to you in the state. Okay, and it can be mentioned.
So, Prakash, we will not be writing actual code for that resource. We will
No,
just
you have
import
to.
it. We'll keep it empty. For future, I won't be writing any code. Is it?
No, you have to
No.
write.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Actually, when we require this command, so basically, if we are create a BPC on our cloud by manual, so now we want to handle this BPC by using the Terraform. So now what we do? So we Terraform provide the Terraform import command. In this command, we can use to just write a resource of the BPC block. In this block, we mention the CIDR block, which we create manually on our cloud. And after that, just some of arguments we can define in this block. After that, we can just run the Terraform import and BPC ID. BPC ID is unique for each of VPC. So just paste the just copy this BPC ID on with this command and run this command. So Terraform maintain the state of this BPC.
Yeah,
state file
as
basically.
in like these are the things that you need to do, but the details that are changing, like the CIDL block or tags for
Uh,
that matter, these things you have to mention in the code.
resource
Yeah,
block, yes.
in the resource block you have
I
to
see.
mention.
So exactly state files are matched with your resource which are created on a cloud.
Okay, okay. So the thing is for future, I mean, it looks like it will, I mean, the implementation will differ based on what resource I'm importing. For EC2 instance, there will be a lot of other things which will be mandatory, which I need to mention in my, let's say if I just mention my instance ID, that should be sufficient to,
No,
sync
instance
my
ID,
state file.
like we talked previously, right? There are things called arguments. Arguments as in what the resource block expects, and there are things called attributes that comes to you once the resource is
Yeah,
created. Now,
right.
instance ID is something that is part of the attributes theme. Okay, so that you cannot mention in the block. If you mention, it will say that no, this is not my expertise. I am out, right? So that's what it will tell. I
Okay,
hope you
yeah.
get the point. Yeah.
I got that. Yeah. I mean, I was just taking one example. So we will have to understand how that resource is initially written, what is mandatory from Terraform side. Those all things we need to analyze on that manually created resource and fill into our Terraform code and then run Terraform import, and then our state file will be
Like
matched
that will be
basically.
synced then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now if you
Okay.
make changes in the block, it will be
Mhm.
like Terraform will be effective now.
I got that. But will it be like a different scenario if I'm using module also instead of resource?
Yeah. So
I'll have to just follow the module. I
that
mean
you have to
module.
write. Yes. So
Yeah,
module dot VPC dot
yeah, yeah.
AWS VPC. So that way you have to write.
I get that. Okay. Sure. Thanks for this answer. I'm actually I'm driving, so I won't be able to give a feedback and also, but I'm happy like I joined this
Okay.
session.
Sure, not an issue. But yeah, for others, like if you have any other questions, yeah, you can ask.
Uh, I don't have any question, but I have a use case around Terraform import that I want to share with you.
Sure.
So we were doing a reverse Terraform. We were importing some IAM roles in our Terraform state. Recently, we encountered an error where the IAM role name were containing special characters, plus signature, underscore, and all. So we were having some underscores. We did some Terraform import surgery on that, and we basically what we did, we appended the name of the role which were already existing AWS with some suffix, for example underscore demo, and we applied that Terraform state file. Later we pulled that state on the local, and we did a SED on the state file, and then removed that suffix to the original name of resource which is already lying in our account.
Mhm.
And then we pushed that state on the remote state, migrated it from local to remote S3 bucket where we actually manage our state file. And with that, we were able to fool Terraform that we have created the resource with Terraform itself. Like we just renamed the resource names. Yeah.
Yeah, that can be done. But
We were
again,
actually initially getting errors related to the resource name validation, like the IAM role. It was, I mean, the Terraform was getting applied on a fresh run, but it was not able to import. Yeah, so that is a small. I
that,
mean,
that is
usually
yeah,
there is a lot of things you have to do sometimes when you are importing resources with Terraform. There
correct.
are few things.
But yeah, that is a good one. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
But again, yeah, for others it is like if you the changing state file should be the last option when you don't have anything else.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah, that don't make it a practice. Yeah. Okay. Um, all right. Anyone else? Any feedback or any questions that you have? I guess
From the
that's it.
feedback wise, already we have provided in the chat box, but I still it is not doing the justice. So I want to thank you both. It was a very wonderful session. and the content that you have covered, it was very precise. I would also like to have the questions, like, if you can share those questions in a form of an email or something, or publish somewhere on your website. It would be great because they were very engaging. For any person who is learning Terraform, it is good for them. I think, yeah. And
Sure,
it was
sure.
a nice session. Yeah.
We will.
So you'll be recording this session and updating there on YouTube
Yes,
or
yes.
something?
It is getting recorded and it will be available on YouTube. So
Nice.
let me share. Tarun, do you have this? Yeah, I got it. So it will maybe take 1 or 2 days.
Yeah.
Get it here. I guess that's it then. So quite a good amount of time, 3 hours and 15 minutes. So
Yes.
Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it, and it was a great weekend, I believe.
Yes.
All right
Same
then.
to you guys. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks all for joining.
Thank you. Thank you all.